Good evening. I call this meeting to order at 7:02. If you're able, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
What's going on with the audio?
I don't know. That was weird. Could we have a roll call, please?
Johnson.
Here.
Kelly.
Here.
Mikulski.
Here.
Sabatini.
Here.
Leaks May.
Here. Approval of the agenda.
Madam Mayor, I move we approve the agenda as presented. Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we're moving on right on to our presentations tonight. Our first presentation will be the Giggle Pickles robot presentation. Yes. However so you can present right up here. If someone wanted to speak at the podium's there. So the floor is yours.
Right here? Oh, thank you.
You can.
Before we get a demonstration, does someone want to explain at the podium what we're going to be seeing?
Oh. Oh, that's it.
Yes.
Hello. All right.
What's your name?
My name is Desmond Kaler. I'm representing the back-to-back state championship robotics team, Giggle Pickles. We're here to show you our amazing robot that we spent a lot of time on. So, there it is. We have our turret, which helps us shoot on the move facing any direction with our robot, which we're about to demonstrate in a second here.
How long did it take you to make it?
It's been since like August. Our state championship competition. Oh, there goes the turret. Our state championship competition was in December. So August to December, we spent multiple hours on it. And then since then, we've been preparing for nationals in Houston by adding our turret and multiple other different little tweaks to our robot. Worlds. My bad. Worlds. Everybody, everywhere, coming to do robotics. 28 different countries.
And my name's Nick Kogatovich. I'm one of the coaches for the team. I just wanted to point out, thank you so much, Desmond, for volunteering or voluntolding. I'm not sure.
Got
Come
you.
up here and talk. That robot will look a lot prettier than it does right now when it's time for the competition. We're in the middle of changing a few things. The wiring's not quite right, so just hopefully that doesn't take away from. And then the other thing is right now we can't really shoot the balls like we normally would, or drive around because of the wiring changes. So, but we still wanted to show off the robot, and so I wanted to just throw that in there as a caveat. So Desmond, you can continue.
I'd also like to say we have to fundraise a lot to make it to Worlds. It's a lot of money getting this whole team down to Houston and the entry fee for competition. So if you'd like to support our back-to-back state championship robotics team, on March 28th from 3 to 5, you can come see Go Comedy, where we'll have a family-friendly show with supporting the Giggle Pickles, all the money for the tickets. It's $20 in advance. You can scan this QR code here. We have multiple flyers if you want a flyer. My mom right there will pass them out to you. And tomorrow, we're doing a Chipotle fundraiser. If you're feeling hungry, come down to Chipotle. All that money's going to the Giggle Pickles. And if you don't want to scan the QR code, you can always pay $25 at the door. Yep.
And may I ask, I know that with a team like the Giggle Pickles, the robotics team, there are certain roles and titles that individuals hold.
Yep.
What is your title?
I'm one of the drivers on the team.
Drivers?
We have 4 people on our drive team. One of them, or 2 of them, can't be here tonight.
Okay.
But I'm the buttons, so I basically control everything but moving around the robot. And then we have our driver, which is Parker. He's not here tonight. And we have our drive coach, Urban Peter Hans, right in front of us. He coaches us and tells us what to do so we can be the best we can be.
And who are these others?
They help build and make our program. They help build and program our whole entire robot, and we can't drive it or do the great things we've done without them. So we have George, who has done a lot. We have Oliver Cook, our main scouter. We have Adwin, who's a really, really good builder. He just won't admit it. We have Sophia, who's a whiz at programming. We have Rennie, who's also a whiz at programming. We have Zachary Rude, who helps with this one part of our competition where we got to make like a sheet to present to our judges to show what we've done and all the outreach and gracious professionalism we've shown. So that's his thing. He's really good at it. Yep. And we have our amazing coach, Nicholas Kokatovich, standing right here, right now.
Well, thank you for doing this. Can we all, maybe council, can we all get a picture with the Giggle Pickles and their robot?
I just got a question for all high schoolers. We are a full middle school robotics team, which is different in other states. But in Michigan, we're only middle schoolers. Other teams in other states can be high schoolers too. And it's going to be a lot harder because we're a full middle school team against some high schoolers. But we'll represent Ferndale in a great way.
You know you will. Thank you.
I'll leave the stand.
All right. Get a picture.
You guys want to get in?
Wherever you want to be.
Over here's fine.
Good luck.
Sorry.
This is why, we can't do as much as we'd like to do.
That was great. Give them a second to clear out. All right. All right. So now, item 4B for our presentation is updates on the electric vehicle charging master plan and replacement of EV chargers in outdoor lots.
Okay, that's a tough act to follow. Public EV charging, it is boring for some, exciting for me. I'm going to give a short update on what we're doing short term and a brief update on what we're doing long term, which includes a master plan refresh. So currently our status, our charging is centered at the DOT. You can see the picture I included was the Plug Share app that shows that the DOT location. You can see we have 7 level 2 units, so they're the slower charging units. We used to have 2 at the library in Withington. Those were installed in 2014. We got about 9 years of use out of those. Those have recently failed. In 2025, they're not repairable. Over the course of time, we track data, and we have about 446,000 equivalent EV miles from charging at those 2 systems, so they're very valuable over their lifespan. Our system right now is functional, but the biggest weakness is that we have limited coverage. We would really like to have 4 locations arranged around 9 and Woodward, and right now we just have the one in the DOT parking structure on Troy. And then additionally, right now we have no cost recovery for power on those units. So short-term plan. As early as summer 2026, we would like to replace the library lot and the Withington lot. The old chargers there were built at a time where dual port wasn't really a thing or was an emerging thing. So we would really like to install dual port network level 2 chargers at those locations so that way 2 people can charge. The infrastructure is already there. We won't have to do much. We should be able to pull the extra circuit through the existing conduit, so we'll be able to expand the program by double at those 2 locations for minimal cost. Again, we're targeting this summer to do that work. We're likely looking at something like a charge point. They're a Sourcewell vendor. We can get their equipment at cost. It's already been competitive bid, and they're a reputable company used by a lot of our neighbors. Volt Post is a company that we were recently introduced through Pleasant Ridge, and we're kind of looking at it now. We're not sure whether this is something we're going to implement, but it is a pretty ingenious way that they've used EV charging on light posts to kind of infill some of the parking lots. One of the advantages is all of our parking lots do have parking lot lights, so potentially this may be a way for us to add some additional EV charging in parking lots for minimal cost. So currently, equipment and platform, we have Clipper Creek with Zeph. This is what we have at the DOT. The old units that came out of service at Withington and the library were both Clipper Creek as well. They did not include Zeph software. The software was something that wasn't really available at the time, but that tracks data and then has the capability to add payments onto the system. We are coordinating with parking on pricing and fees. They've been tracking, I think, 13 neighboring communities for like hourly rates, kilowatt hour charges, other various fees and costs, and I think when we're able to implement on the existing system, and certainly when we get the 2 new charge point, we'll have a pretty good handle on what we set fees at. We are currently evaluating, as I said, hardware and software. Options include ChargePoint, Volt Post. Really a lot of the industry, like the 3 or 4 that kind of dominate the industry, all have similar software options for data payments, but certain companies are more reliable equipment than others, so we're looking at reliability, data payment, long-term fit for the community. So that's basically the short term. Long term, we put together a master plan in 2023. I'll talk about that a little bit more, but we did it rather hastily with not a lot of stakeholder feedback. Since 2023, the electric vehicle space has evolved incredibly. Technology, funding, providers have shifted. It's a lot different than it was when we put that master plan together in 2023. One of the biggest things that we know now is that there are far less grants available. As before in 2023, it was a lot easier to get a project off the ground, sometimes a larger project, because a large percentage of that was supplemented by grants. And a lot of those grants are not currently available. So we want to update the master plan. Again, we want broader stakeholders. We want real user input. One of the downsides of it being internally done through the DPW in support of a funding application is we didn't really have anyone at the time that owned an electric vehicle. So that means that we didn't really have real user input. So we want a more coordinated, scalable approach. And one of the things that we're going to focus on is user experience. I didn't want to forget to say this, so the 2023 plan was developed to support funding opportunities. Again, while DPW did a good job aligning with best practices and we stand behind the master plan, it would certainly benefit from more direct input from actual EV users and other stakeholders, including parking, FESC, who is currently looking at the existing master plan, City Hall, Council, and we have our sustainability fellow, Sydney, that's putting together some of the background information specific to kind of note what has changed in the environment. So for the user experience, at the time, it seemed that multiple apps, there was some hesitation to adopt a system before we knew exactly what piece of equipment we would get. I would say that now enough is kind of played out to where multiple apps are kind of the norm. It's similar to a gas station. There's a QR code, you scan it, you pay. I think EV users are pretty used to that, so platform choice is not necessarily a barrier that we thought it was in 2023. Deployment focus. One of the things we look at in the master plan is where to put these. The location is one of the most important things. Just setting these locations, you want them in high demand areas with consistent use. When we do that, these systems pay for themselves. And not only do they pay for themselves, but at the end of service life, you should have some money to go towards the new equipment that needs to replace them every 5 to 7 years. That is not true if you put them in low use sites, so it's very important that you put these locations in the right area. The goal is utilize sustainable system, and this is the Withington lot. We looked at this. If you look at it, there's a red box. We know power is very close. The conduit run is short. We have an orange box where we could do 2 ADA EV spots, and then I think another 8 locations in that green box. So we could expand that to a 10-port system if demand required that or presented an opportunity for that. So the build approach. One of the most obvious things that we try to do with these, and the reason location is so important is we want to dig once. The big 3 for EV planning is conduit, so you need to know how many you're going to put in the ground. You want to minimize the distance between the box and the charging system. You want to make sure that power is available at the site, or it's more expensive to get it there. And you want to make sure that your layout is available. So you need room for the parking, the equipment, and you need to put the equipment in a position where it's not going to be damaged by vehicles. Again, you want to avoid repeat excavation. A lot of the times with these projects, the cost for the actual installation, the electrical and everything else can be as much, if not more, than the equipment. It is very costly to rip up concrete, to repave and do restoration. So you always want to, that's why it's important to make sure that you put the opportunity for expansion under the ground before you pave over everything. So if you locate a spot, the master plan looks at minimum size project. I think our per port suggestion was 8. So that just means if the total cost of the project is $45,000, I don't know why I made that harder, I'll just say $40,000, and you do 8, you have a per port cost of $5,000. That is better than doing 2 for half because your per port cost is higher. So you always want to look at a per port cost for your installation project. That will reduce the long-term cost, and if it's located in an area where it's going to be used, it will pay for itself over time. So, and again, you want to put the extra conduit in the ground because you can expand as demand grows. So in summary, short term, we're seeking to restore service in the Withington and Library lots with 2 dual part level 2 chargers. We want to finalize our fees and deploy those with our new equipment and existing. Long term, we're updating the master plan, including more stakeholders. FESC is looking at it. We want to understand current environment. Sustainability fellows looking at that. We want to include EV users. I believe we have some on FESC, and I think we have some on council, or we at least have people who are interested in being an EV user. So we want to lock in locations and come up with a future strategic expansion plan. And I'd be happy to take questions or comments.
Any questions from council regarding this presentation?
Okay, thank you.
All right.
May the audience have a question?
You want to hold on to, before we go to call to council?
Always
I mean,
asking
call-
questions.
All right, item 4C, proposal to add sculpture to the public art collection on Woodward Avenue.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, and community. Tonight, on behalf of the DDA, we would like to introduce a proposal for a piece of sculpture to be donated as part of the public art collection with the proposed site on Woodward Avenue. This is really nicely timed with Art March. We are in our second annual celebration of art and creativity throughout the month of March in Ferndale. We are known in the region and the state as a destination for public art and just the kind of creative ethos that people love in downtown Ferndale. The public art program goes back to 2012 during the initial Art Town development, where there were several key pieces installed on Woodward, on 9 Mile, and in locations throughout downtown. So we have worked in the last few years to revive that program. It's gone forward to sponsor many of the public art installations you've seen in the form of murals. And we're really proud that it's also inspired other private entities to pursue art that they can display in the public realm. So this is part of that celebration this year, but not solely dependent on it. But if you have more questions about things we are doing for Art March, please visit artmarchferndale.com for a complete calendar of events, and you'll see the different ways that we see creativity and expression throughout Ferndale. The origin of this request is coming from James Kay. He is a local artist, educator, entrepreneur. He has long-standing ties to the Ferndale community. He and his brother used to have a well-known Detroit Brother Custom Cycles in Ferndale for a number of years. His family owned Square One Studios along Woodward, which was very prominently there for a number of years and has now moved into other local businesses. And then Anita's Kitchen actually commissioned a piece from him to go on their outside patio. So if you've eaten in their outside dining space in the last year or two, you may have noticed a really colorful mural on the kind of back wall of their external dining space. So this is a great example where, again, we've seen public art inspiring the private entities to pursue creativity. So James approached us with an offer to donate a piece of sculpture just in recognition of how Ferndale and the community has shaped him into the artist that he's become. He was also, through his firm Alpha 6 Paints, a contributor to our Art March program last year, and we just really greatly appreciate that kind of collaboration. So this proposal was presented last year to the DDA, and during the February meeting, it was approved that we would pursue this proposal for a public art installation. And then the next steps are to present this to council and the community, and I'll talk about what this looks like in pursuit with MDOT based on the proposed location. This is a mock-up of the piece of sculpture. It is steel tubing. The base of it, the piece itself is about 10 feet tall, and its widest point, it's 5 feet. So you can imagine this is a sizable piece. When we were talking about locations, we wanted to make sure this would be somewhere that could really be seen, but maybe not hung on like you might see with interactive pieces elsewhere. This is not something that we would want folks climbing on per se. So we are really strategic in finding the right location to put a prominent piece like this. So through discussion, we talked about putting it in the Woodward median. This is a nice spot based on, like when we're undergoing our wayfinding right now and we're looking for pieces like sculpture or other art or things that are not signs but that people use to give directional value. And we felt that this would actually be a great example of that, to celebrate art and in a way that people can say, oh, when you're trying to get there, look for the piece of sculpture in the median. It's one of several that we have now. So this is a way of non-signage but still very effective wayfinding. And this also is, again, kind of closer proximity to some other pieces that the artist has in the area. Because it is going on, we're proposing on Woodward Avenue, which is operated by MDOT, we will have to pursue an application with the Michigan Department of Transportation for their local approval on this. We have done that before. If you look further south on Woodward, closer to Marshall, there is a piece, Time Waits for No One, that was installed through the previous Art Town initiative. And then north on Woodward, close to Lewiston, near New York Bagel, there is also an orange piece by John Sauvé called Urfaust. So you can see we have several of these pieces throughout the median in Ferndale. So we have some precedents of doing this before. With the MDOT requirements, there is a permit that has to be submitted by the city of Ferndale, and it has to go through a thorough review with the Department of Transportation. This includes complete plans with architectural details, computer-aided design drawings, all the dimensions, making sure that it is weighted correctly, that it's going to be stabilized, any impacts there could be to traffic. There's also the environmental forms, making sure there's not going to be any impact that this would cause inadvertently to the area. With landscaping, just as we have with the other sculptures, when DPW or others are mowing that median area, can they get safely around the footing of this? Is it going to cause any hazard or difficulty for them to mow around to keep the maintenance of the median? And ensuring that there is no impact to the public right-of-way. In this case, there would not be, because there isn't any public right-of-way really in the median, which would be a hazard for it if we actually were to put it closer to a sidewalk. And then all other supporting materials that may be relevant to the proposal, as well as a long-term maintenance agreement. So when this is aligned between the city and DPW and the DDA, we will be working to make this entire proposal to MDOT with support from Giffords Webster, who is the city's engineer. So just to give a rough idea of the anticipated cost, because this is going to be a donated piece, we don't have to, procure it in the way that we might have to go out to market or, to put an open bid out. So we're not counting any of the actual sculptural value in this, but as far as the cost that would be borne by the DDA, there is an application preparation fee that we would be using Giffords Webster to do. We estimate that's going to be around $1,000 because they have to prepare very thorough engineering designs. We also would be paying for the concrete slab that would be installed if approved. We estimate that's going to be in the realm of $500, always subject to contingency plans and market prices of things, but it's not an extraordinary cost for a piece of this size. It would be about 6 by 6 feet in diameter, 6 by 6 feet in dimension, and then based on the weight of other sculptures that we have, we don't expect there would need to be anything more intensive than what has been done with them. If there is additional machinery that's going to be involved, this will again be established through the plan with MDOT on what we would need to do to install it properly, but we don't anticipate there would need to be any specific machinery to be brought in, but there could be some temporary traffic disruptions, and we would need to make sure that we cover the cost of that if it's something that DPW or police or some other entity has to control, making sure that we're accounting for that. But on the total, the estimated cost for this piece would be at least $1,500. We estimate in around the $3,000 range. It could be a little bit more than that, again, based on the traffic closure that would be very, very short, like an hour-ish in duration, but we would be carrying that cost to the DDA. So at this time, I wanted to ask if there are any questions about this piece or the proposal for council and the community to consider. That is a great question. The question is if there is a name for the piece of art, and I'm going to look at the artist, and we can.
I'm still working on it.
Yeah, we are looking at this piece that has been developed for us, so that could be something that we could consider for a name and what we want to, how we want to memorialize that on the statue itself or the sculpture itself.
So it's just an abstract sculpture at this point?
Yes, I think it would be an abstract at this point that we could find what that meaning is for us in Ferndale.
Does the artist want to come up and speak about it?
Yeah.
Introduce himself?
Hi, I'm James Kay.
Hi.
I'm mayor and council and public. The piece is abstract. When I approached Summer and Jenny last year, what I really wanted to do was collaborate with some ideas about names. The first time we sat down, we started to look at the pathway of Woodward Avenue and the turnarounds in those sharp shapes, and it just seemed to lend itself to my type of work, coming from the motorcycle car background. So really, I didn't want to name it yet because I don't really feel like it's just mine. I love the idea of working with the community and coming up with a good name for it or a fitting name. But really, I'm here to cooperate is the idea.
Well, thank you for your contribution to the city and for this very generous donation.
Of course, thank you.
Thank you. All right. Any questions for DDA Director?
Thank you all for your consideration.
You. All right. Now we're coming to call to audience, where anyone in the audience can speak on a topic on or off the agenda. You will have 3 minutes to state what you'd like to state. I'm going to say that again. You have 3 minutes to state what you'd like to state. You can state your name and address if you wish, but I'm opening up call to audience at 7:33 p.m., and you can just, whoever would like to start.
Well, I always like to sit close so I can come up. So here I am. I'm Sharon Chess. I'm the Ferndale. I'm the president of the Ferndale Community Concert Band. And this Sunday we have an upcoming concert at 3 o'clock in the afternoon at the high school. Parking at the high school is problematic. So we'll be putting out a message to all of our subscribers on where to park and how to park, due to the current construction that's going on at the school. We also will be celebrating our 250th birthday of the United States at our May 31st concert at the high school. In conjunction with that, we have invited the Plymouth Drum and Fife Corps to join us. And what I absolutely love about that is the director of that program is one of the Ferndale's finest police officers and one of our French horn players. So Ed Ungerman will be leading that group during that. And we just agreed to do an outdoor concert on June 28th in Harding Park, and more information will be coming about that. I just recently submitted my application for that. And I want to say, Council, Mayor, this is my first time coming up in front of all of you. I wish you the best. I ask that when you're making decisions for the community that you take in the understanding that you're making decisions for the entire community, all 22,000+ of us, whether they voted or not voted. And when you're making decisions, consider how that affects the majority of all of the residents. And I look forward to working with you and see how the next couple of years go. Thank you.
Hello, Chris Best, 906 Emwell, and owner of Rust Belt Market. I just wanted to say and acknowledge that good job for Jenny and the upcoming sidewalk repair for the downtown. That's amazing. I'm missing my wife's famous quesadilla, pulled pork quesadillas right now to come down and talk to you all. I'm very hungry, so I'm going to make this quick. I just wanted to come and voice my support for the patio zone being extended down to Livernois. I understand that's an agenda item tonight, and I'm full support of that, and I assume you guys are going to vote. Eddie, I just want to say you look sharp in your suit and tie. That's great. Professional. Yeah, so whatever we have to do to get that extended, I'm in full support of that. And, this awkwardness of shutting down the patio zone for Pride or any event, for that matter, it's not just Pride. I know we haven't had any other events that shut it down. It's only Pride. But that's my bugaboo. It's really disruptive. It doesn't make any sense. And if extending the patio zone down to Livernois solves that, hoorah. Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Hi, Rachel Sellers, 1541 Morehouse. First, I wanted to thank the council in advance for the proclamation that's going to be read in a moment in recognition of Autism Acceptance Month. I'm the vice chair of the Ferndale Accessibility and Inclusion Advisory Commission. We advise the Ferndale City Council and other city employees on actions related to disability accessibility in our community. We have open seats in our commission, so I would ask any members of the community who feel like you are personally called to affect that and to speak up for accessibility in Ferndale to consider signing up to and applying to join our commission. Also, I actually wanted to speak against the upcoming vote to expand the patio zone. Ferndale Pride is, as was said, the only major special event in the city that would be affected by this. Ferndale Pride is a family-friendly event, an event that includes a sobriety zone, an event that includes a child-friendly zone. And the only reason that it's been so easy for Ferndale Pride to be able to restrict the ability to carry alcohol through the event is because it extends past the bounds of the current patio zone. Expanding it would make it far more difficult for the event to keep alcohol out of the entirety of the area that it operates in. This would change the entire character of Ferndale Pride, and frankly, I think that the ability of sober members of the LGBTQ community and also underage members of the LGBTQ community in our city, their ability to participate in Ferndale Pride, to enjoy that event in our community is far more important than the ability of some bars that are beyond the cusp of the current patio zone to make a little bit more money. So I would urge the council to think of the people that would be affected by this negatively before making that vote. Thank you very much.
Good evening, member of Ferndale City Council. My name is Abdullah Sheikh, and I'm a resident of Bloomfield Hills. And I am the founder and CEO of AMPAC, American Arab and Muslim Political Action Committee. I want to sincerely thank you for recognizing April as a National Arab American Heritage Month. This resolution is more than symbolic. It reflects the values of inclusion, diversity, and respect that make Ferndale such a strong and welcoming community. Arab Americans have contributed greatly to the cultural, economics, and social fabric of the city and the state. Taking the time to acknowledge that history and those contributions truly matters. I would also like to extend a special thank you to Mayor Pro Tem Laura Molinsky for her leadership and support in bringing this forward. Moments like this send a powerful message that every community is seen, valued, and respected. Thank you again for your leadership and for continuing to build a city that embraces all its people. Thank you.
Hello, Council. My name is Silka Taylor, and I live on 1104 Libre. I thought it was really funny that the owner of the Rust Belt was here because my wife and I, who's here with me, we actually approached them to ask if they would do an event that was a dry wedding, because on their website it clearly said no dry weddings. So we just decided to go, hey, we're interested in having a dry wedding ceremony and reception there. And they worked it out. They were able to come up with a price point, and we were able to have our lovely ceremony at the Rust Belt. So that opens up for the rest of my comments here. I used to live in Toledo, Ohio, but I am a Ferndale resident for about the last 5-6 years. So I really like that Ferndale Pride is, I wouldn't say it's a sober event, but I really appreciate that the patio zone is suspended for that amount of time. because as someone who is works in community mental health, I'm a psychiatric nurse practitioner, I'm queer, and I'm also sober for the last 6 years. For myself and other people that I know, it makes it just that much easier to come out and join a community celebration. So I really appreciate that about Ferndale Pride. Also, I feel like we set a really good example as one of the few nationwide Pride festivals that pause their alcohol use zones on the streets. We also set a good example for youth by placing the emphasis elsewhere, like dance, creativity, and community. And I am proud of how Ferndale has made space for community celebrations of pride that help reinforce that alcohol and other substance use doesn't have to be the accepted norm. 20 to 30% of people who identify as LGBTQ struggle with substance use problems. I can attest to that, and I attest to that publicly because I want to reduce stigma for people who do struggle with alcohol and addiction. So I appreciate your time, and thank you for considering my comment.
Hi, good evening. My name is Chris Gilmer Hill. I am a resident of Detroit at 19471 Lowell. I'm a candidate for our state house seat that's shared between here and Detroit. I'm also a former high school and middle school robotics team member, although our team didn't have nearly as cool of a name. So I'm very much looking forward to watching the Giggle Pickles take home that championship. I'm here today to speak on item 8A, which is the immigration enforcement ordinance, and more generally about what we can do at the local level to stand up to the horrifying crackdown that we're seeing just ongoing at the federal level. I'd like to thank Council, and especially Councilmember Kelly, for bringing this. I believe that it is absolutely critical that places like Ferndale take this moment to do the right thing, and I would urge that we should always be looking to do as much as we can. I know that it's an incredibly scary time at every level, and especially in the context of federal threats being made against cities, as well as state-level threats made against cities. I know that there's a lot pushing in favor of trimming things down, of taking the safer path. I know that in my own city, in Detroit, we just dealt with a very similar situation where the leadership of the state house threatened to revoke funding just because our police department, our city, tried to do the right thing, tried to enforce a policy saying that they weren't going to call Border Patrol on people just going about their daily business. And I was disappointed to see my city give in on that and not stand up the way that I would have liked to see. I believe that Ferndale has the opportunity to put a much stronger policy in place here, and I believe that every bit of work that you do now does a ton to protect everybody that lives here, that works here, that just passes through here. I would expand a bit on what a previous commenter said. The decisions that you're making here should be made on the behalf of everybody that ever enters Ferndale. When we're making these decisions, we're making decisions to protect all the people that live here, every undocumented person, every person of color, every immigrant, everyone that comes into Ferndale. It's your job to make sure that those people are safe. And I believe that doing the most we can to stand up to Trump, to stand up to the federal government, to stand up to the state government when we need to, doing the most that we can now is absolutely the right way to protect everybody that loves Ferndale. So thank you.
Good evening. My name is Shane Matthew. I am not a Ferndale resident. I am a resident of Detroit. I do, however, work in the city of Ferndale for Ferndale Pride, as well as other events as contracted when people need me. I'm here to speak about the expansion of the patio zone and potential not closing it for Ferndale Pride. I have attended numerous prides around the country. I have attended many events and worked many events on the scale of Ferndale Pride. Not one of those events allows alcohol without some form of checkpoint. Some of these cities do have a social district, or patio zone as it's called in Ferndale. They all have some form of checkpoint. Instituting that checkpoint for Ferndale Pride hosts numerous issues, security-wise, safety-wise, not to mention the increased waste issue for if this was to go in effect. As a previous commenter spoke, the ability to while it is not a sober pride, to attend as a sober person or a more sober person is important to the queer community. And adding any barriers to being able to attend Ferndale Pride as a sober person, checking ID, open consumption of alcohol, is antithetical to Ferndale's Pride mission of being free and accessible to all who want to come. And with less than 70 days to our event, we have to plan this event like things will happen last year with the patio zone being closed due to the size of this event. Without that, it won't happen. It is a fiscal impossibility, so please consider that. And I would say going forward, the patio zone is closed 180 days a year. 181 or 185 shouldn't make that big of a difference. We bring roughly 30,000 people down to the downtown Ferndale. That should offset your economic concerns or cost issues. You should still need people to man your doors. And I will say on an environmental level, the single-use plastic cups that are used for the social district, not my favorite thing in the world, and seems to go against the city's environmental policies. So, thank you very much.
Hello, Angela Lepard. I live on East Breckenridge. 3 minutes is not a lot for the amount that's on the agenda today. I'm glad to see as a neurodivergent person, I'm glad to see we're supporting autistic people. I am glad to see my Arab friends being supported. I want to thank Councilperson Kelly for her work on the ordinance to protect our neighbors from ICE. I know the ordinance being passed is not what we wished for, but with your help, I know we can strengthen what's there. Being an activist can be exhausting. My spirit is heavy because I'm often making a case for why people deserve to exist. I'm explaining that we shouldn't use our tax dollars to bomb children, that trans women of color deserve to be safe, and that ICE and law enforcement shouldn't act as judge and executioner. I do not share this information to center myself, but to say that activism requires moments of self-care and moments of joy. Audre Lorde said, "Joy is an act of resistance," and Ferndale Pride is an event that gives me joy. Ferndale Pride is my yearly family reunion. Through Ferndale Pride, I officiated a wedding for a couple that waited decades for their relationship to be recognized legally. I gathered with people from different faith traditions to uplift my queer siblings. I showed the kids in my life how to be a good ally, or if they ever do come out, that they will be loved and cherished. My connections through Ferndale Pride have also given me the opportunity to support my Latinx friends after the mass shooting in Orlando. And Ferndale Pride has given me the connections to know how to show up for my trans siblings. If extending the patio zone includes forcing Ferndale Pride to be an event with alcohol, you are choosing to take the joy away from many. By now, I think the city council members understand that the liability and security costs for an open patio zone would not be financially possible for Pride to absorb. I genuinely want to presume good intent, but I'm at a loss because I think there's either a lack of transparency or a lack of data in the decision to increase the patio zone. I have several questions. I don't have time to ask them all, but as data-driven group of people, what are the cost-benefit analyses that you've completed? What are the actual benefits to the businesses? What are the impacts on businesses that don't serve alcohol? What are the other costs, like the possible loss of safe spaces for those in recovery, for those that are underage, and the loss of future Pride events? Please help me understand the decision-making process because I genuinely don't understand, and I am truly heartbroken over the possible impact of losing Ferndale Pride. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Ashton. Until a few months ago, I was a resident of Ferndale. I just recently moved with my wife to Hazel Park. I want to thank you for the opportunity to speak today, and I'm here to respectfully urge you to reconsider expanding the patio zone in Ferndale. I've been a part of the Ferndale community for over a decade, and I have operated a nonprofit organization, FTM Detroit, in the city for just as long. During that time, I have attended Ferndale Pride each year, both as a resident and as an organizational representative. What has consistently distinguished Ferndale Pride is its strong sense of community and its family-friendly atmosphere. While many Pride events have trended toward more commercialized and alcohol-centered environments, Ferndale Pride has continued to grow while preserving its inclusive, welcoming character. Through my experience hosting booths at both Motor City Pride and Ferndale Pride, I have seen firsthand the impact that widespread alcohol consumption can have at an event. At Motor City Pride, our organization experienced repeated disruptions, including damaged materials, spilled drinks, and even theft of merchandise. In contrast, at Ferndale Pride, our booth has always been a safe and supportive space, particularly for transmasculine identified individuals to connect, share experiences, and build community. That kind of meaningful engagement thrives in environments where safety and presence are prioritized over alcohol consumption. Ferndale has long been a city that values inclusivity, community connection, and accessible, family-oriented events. I believe it is essential to preserve those values. Expanding the patio zone risks shifting the character of these gatherings away from what has made them so unique and impactful. Thank you for your time and thoughtful consideration.
Hello, my name's Tina Yee, 1104 Leroy. I also would like to make a comment on expanding the patio zone. And when I think about people who are in recovery, I think, they make decisions that are very intentional about what places they go into, the thoughts of what they're going to do that night. Is there going to be alcohol present or drugs? And I think, when there's a lot of alcohol in open public places, it's harder, I think, for people to be able to, have that intentional place to be. So where they know that they're safe, they know that they can, be somewhere where alcohol is not. So, and then, Ferndale Pride. Yes, of course, I have to speak about that. Ferndale Pride is different. It really, truly is. And, you can get free hugs. So, the thought of all of the impact that expanding the patio zone would have for that, and even potentially having alcohol there. I know that there are people who have actually told me that they haven't gone to any Pride in so many years because it's just not safe for them to do that. And I do feel like, again, Ferndale's Pride is very different, and I just want, it to be considered that people need that safe space. So, thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'm Heidi, and Heidi West. I live at 493 Pearson, Ferndale, Ferndale resident for over 15 years now. And I'm here for a few reasons tonight. Thank you for supporting the Giggle Pickles. My son didn't make it for the picture. He came from karate over at Majishi right before that. So he was running in, but he missed the picture. So thank you for supporting the Giggle Pickles. Second, I wanted to thank you for Autism Acceptance Month. My son also on the autism spectrum, so this robotics team has really been great for him. Also, thank you for recognizing National Arab American Heritage Month. That is great. But mostly tonight I'm here to speak on item 8A of the adoption of the Immigration Enforcement Ordinance. And first of all, I want to thank everyone for your hard work on that. I might get emotional here. I'm a teacher in Southwest Detroit. So this issue's been very personal to me. I've lost over 100 students this year at our school alone. 10 of my own students, families. I'm writing letters every day. So I haven't had time to much work on the Ferndale enforcement ordinance. But what I want to say is now is the time to make this as strong as you can. Like I said, we've been working on things in Detroit, and we don't see much. It's not Minnesota, but things are happening here, especially we're right along 8 Mile, so I know how important this is here too. And so, please take the time to make this as strong as it can be. Make more explicit the non-cooperation with civil immigration enforcement. We shouldn't wait to take time to strengthen this as much as we can, because if we don't take the time to really make it as strong as can, we might not have that time again. So thank you for the work you've done, but please pass it and make it as strong as you can for now. Also, I wanted to say as a parent with Ferndale Pride, I've been bringing him since he was a baby. We come like during the day, because as the evening goes on, clearly you can see the effect of the alcohol already on Pride. My son's a teenager now. I'd love to have him be able to go up there with his friends without me, but I don't feel safe, as many of my parent friends would say that as well, that they're not feeling safe with the amount of alcohol there is already. So I agree with everyone that spoke before that expanding that would definitely make it not as family-friendly event as it could be. So thank you tonight. Thank you for everything.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Dan Martin, 1447 West Hazelhurst Street, and I'm the Executive Director of Ferncare Free Medical Clinic. So with regards, first off, thank you for the autism proclamation. My godson is nonverbal autistic. It's near and dear to my heart, so I very much appreciate Council taking action on that. With regards to the patio zone, one nuance that I haven't heard discussion, I just wanted to bring it up. Every year during Pride, Western Market hosts a beer tent that benefits nonprofits, specifically Ferncare and Ferndale Pride. That's able to happen because we pull a nonprofit liquor license in Ferncare's name, which comes with its own sets of rules and regulations. So even with the expansion of the patio zone, if it's not suspended for Ferndale Pride, you would still need to carve out that footprint and suspend it there as a city in order for us to obtain the nonprofit liquor license. So even if it does expand down to Livernois, there's still some exception that would need to be made if we're going to maintain that beer tent that benefits those nonprofits. However, I would encourage you to continue to suspend the patio zone during Pride for any number of reasons I've heard here today, but also it is difficult enough to be able to maintain the beer within the footprint of the event as it exists today. Now I will be forced to enforce not only taking the beer out, but I cannot let liquor from other establishments into that zone either. So I'll need to police it both going in and coming out. There can be no cross-contamination between the two, even with a patio zone in place. So that makes it more difficult for what our volunteers need to do, or money we may need to expend that cuts into the benefits that goes ultimately to the Pride charities and to patient care as well. So I just want to draw that to your attention as well. It's a nuance to this discussion that I think is important and obviously near and dear to my heart. So thank you for your consideration and your work on this.
Hello, Council. My name is Julie Music. I run Ferndale Pride. My address is in the back. In speaking with you, as published in line, I'm rather confident that the patio will be suspended for this year's Ferndale Pride, and Pride will resume as usual. I do want to express to the public that a significant cost increase to Ferndale Pride would be imposed onto the festival should we have to have alcohol there. The festival itself operates as a charitable fundraiser. The Ferndale Community Foundation gives back directly to charities, many of which have representatives, knowingly or unknowingly, that are in this room today. Any push to have alcohol on the street will further compromise the organization's ability to throw the festival in the capacity that our community and visitors have come to expect. Ferndale Pride is a nationally recognized event that drives a substantial economic activity in downtown. It's one of the defining events of this community and a major reason people choose to live, work, and invest here. I want to be clear, there's no large-scale Pride event in Michigan that operates with an open social district. There are controlled entry points to all of those events that surround the entire perimeter of the event. Events of this size are kind of actually unheard of in Pride Land, unless we're talking about major cities with hundreds of thousands of people or millions of people, not the size of Ferndale. Learning that a patio change was coming with no support through the city with 25 days is sincerely unfair, and I'm glad you're changing your position. I love my job. It is, however, extremely complex. Over the time that I have worked on Pride, I've worked diligently to adapt and evolve Pride to align with changes in festival policies from the city, along with requests from Sustainability Committee, Accessibility and Inclusion Committee, and many others. We are one of the few festivals, if not only, that incorporates these initiatives as key drivers to the event, which has helped our event become one of the largest, most inclusive and welcoming events in the country. This can't be a yearly negotiation. Shane and my time need to be spent working on Pride, not fighting with the city to continue the event. This is about safety, preparation, and fairness. Please allow us to continue to deliver the quality event that our city and our community deserves and expects safely and successfully. Thank you.
Hello again, Jenny Beaker on behalf of the DDA and City of Ferndale, as well as the CED department. Wanted to make sure that folks were aware of two important initiatives that we have going on right now. First is Match on Main. This is a locally administered business grant for up to $25,000 in competitive funds. We are seeking ready to implement ideas from local businesses. We do have to make a decision here at the local level to put forward applications with Michigan Economic Development Corporation for this grant, but we are seeking ideas from businesses, what kind of projects they have ready to go. If it's not this Match on Main grant, it could be other fund sources that we have. So wanted to make sure that folks knew this is available. Information is shown on our social media. We've also got some flyers and QR codes here in the room. If you're in Ferndale and operate a in-person business with in-person services, please check it out. Let us know what you're looking to do. Also, we have going on right now a wayfinding survey. This is part of a more than $700,000 project that the DDA is leading for attention to repair sidewalks in the downtown, and then also implement better wayfinding for visitors. So when folks are coming to visit in Ferndale, or whether you're just looking for parking yourself and directing folks around, this will help us to make a better experience for people when they're coming to Ferndale. We do have a 30-minute info session about the concept of like how we got to now and what the three design proposals are. You can access that on the city's YouTube channel, and there's also a QR code you can scan for that, and you can take a quick survey to give your feedback, pros and cons, likes and dislikes on the three proposed designs. There's also some larger printout versions that are here in the hall of City Hall if you want to look at them up close and personal. So thanks very much for your attention to these important initiatives.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ahmed Ghanem. I live in Ferndale. I live here in Ferndale for the past 15 years, and thank you so much for all the work that you've been doing. I enjoy, and actually I love living in this city. As you see, this is a city where Arabs, Muslims, Jewish, straight, gay, and everybody from all walks of life, they live together in peace and harmony. So thank you for being part of that, and thank you for everyone just came today. I wanted to thank you for recognizing the National Arab American Heritage Month. Thank you so much. That's a great step for our city, and I'm proud to live in this city at this moment. So thank you, and special thank to our great friend here, Laura, for your work on this. Thank you so much. I also would like to support our friends here, Angela and her friends and her team, and everyone here. I think you heard them, and I'm pretty sure you will do the right thing. This is their own event, and they want to feel safe, and they want to feel heard while they are enjoying their event. So I support what they are calling for, and please support them and make this event safe for them and their kids. Thank you.
Prasad Venugopal.
1425 West Troy Street. I came here to speak on the immigration, the ordinance, non-cooperation with immigration enforcement. But from a sense of solidarity, I'd like to start with talking about the fact that our society is awash. I think we can all agree our society is awash in guns and alcohol. And so having a little bit less at any given time is probably a good thing. And so while I don't really understand the nuances of the patio zone, I support the idea that there'd be some events where there's no alcohol because it actually changes the nature of the event. There are some things that count that cannot be counted. It changes the nature of who attends. It changes the ambiance of those events. And so in that sense, I would strongly urge council and everyone involved in this to really think very deeply about the need to expand patio zones to allow for more alcohol consumption. It's okay to not be consumerist at some times. I'd also like to thank council for the recognition of Arab American Heritage Month. And it would not be me if I didn't remind us that Arab American Heritage Month means we recognize and appreciate the heritage of Palestinian Americans. We recognize and appreciate the Syrian Americans and the Lebanese Americans, societies that are under tremendous assault right now. They have brought great contributions and made great contributions to American history, not only American history, but global history itself. And it's well worth remembering that during the Dark Ages in Europe, it was Arabs and Arab culture that maintained the light of civilization that today allows for us to call what we call democracy, and even our knowledge of astronomy and physics and so many other fields. So I think it's very important that we recognize it, and I thank council for doing that. I will say on the ordinance, I'm here to support it. Thank you for all the work that you did, Rolanda, Laura, and others. I know I had a bunch of comments, and I've had private conversations and provided my input in a number of areas. So my second comment would be, we know that it needs to be significantly strengthened. There are areas such as exigent circumstances we already dealt with before. We need to deal with it again. That needs to be made much more specific. There's much more specificity required in our non-cooperation with questions of detentions, those in civil custody here in our police department. And there certainly needs to be questions about stronger language and specificity about the number of other sections that I have written, and I know I'm running out of time, other sections that I provided input into. So thank you for doing it, but let's not wait to strengthen the ordinance.
Good evening. Dennis Whitey, 1510 Camden. I just want to start off first thanking everybody up there. I know it's a thankless job. It's kind of hard to do. You got many different opinions and positions coming each way. But I want to start with Councilmember Kelly. Thank you for your ordinance with this immigration enforcement. In my day job, I'm a criminal defense attorney, and it affects a lot of my clients because I represent a lot of people from Southwest Detroit of Hispanic heritage, so I appreciate that. And also to Councilwoman Mikulski, of course, the animal ordinance. Animals are near and dear to my heart, as anybody who follows me on Facebook knows who Scooby is and Princess was, and I completely support that ordinance. And of course, the newest councilman, of course, thank you for having those office hours where you tape them. I do watch them, not live, unfortunately, but I do watch each and every one of them, and I do appreciate that very much, and communicating with me today via Facebook regarding the patio zone. So thank you. And of course, our mayor, you know, I can call you anytime, I know. But with respect to the patio zones, that's what I'm mainly here for. I'm on the Ferndale Community Foundation as well as the Fern Care Board, and as Dan Martin alluded to, this would severely impact nonprofits that serve this community. I know we give back not millions of dollars by any means, but significant sums to make programs such as robotics and all these other things to move forward. And that's one of the most fun times of being on the Community Foundation is actually awarding those things. But a lot of that, if we expand the patio zone, that may hinder that ability. And I think expanding it during Pride would be a mistake, and I would ask that you not support that. keep in mind that Pride events nationwide are having problems with sponsorships, with our political climate, with our federal government and the executive branch coming down on law firms and many different corporations for supporting things they don't like. There's a lot of people pulling out nationwide. And one of the things I had to do was some soul searching and some checkbook balancing because we didn't have a name sponsor for Pride this year. And somehow I'm going to make it happen, and I'm the name sponsor. My law practice is the name sponsor of Pride this year. Rob Peter, pay Paul, but we're making it happen. And so I know as a small business owner how difficult it is to do something like that and to put this on. As an attorney, though, the insurance costs would go up for Pride, all the costs, the garbage, disposal, insurance costs, security would need additional security. The current security staff would not be able to staff an alcohol-related event. And so I would ask that be considered as well. And I work Motor City Pride and EMS. As we all know, I work EMS on the side, contingent. I'm at Motor City Pride every year. And I will say, I've been to quite a few Pride Fests, but we're the best damn one in the country, if you ask me. And I will tell you, we're much better run. And one of the reasons is because Ferndale's unique, and we keep things as they are. And so with that, I would definitely ask you, for all these reasons, to not expand the patio zone, especially during Pride. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Kat Latosh, 5715 West Breckenridge. I'm here to echo a lot of the comments here tonight. Special thanks to, really, you've shown a lot of leadership, right? We're talking about the celebrating Arab American community, recognizing neurodivergent folks in the Autism Awareness Month. Those are the kinds of leadership all of us want to see. I heard people talk about how you're seeing people and being inclusive. I think the proposal tonight for suspending the patio zones for Pride is on there, although the language was a little confusing earlier. But I believe the motion is to suspend that, which would be in support of Pride and it being able to continue in that lesser, more sober environment. And I support that also as a member of the queer community. So I was interested to hear, you were also celebrated as being a leader in art tonight, right? So we heard about the new art piece being put up, and it was really cool. It was talking about how you're a leader, Ferndale's a leader in art, and going through all the MDOT requirements to make sure that there's no possible negative impact on people, engineering reviews, right, to make sure there's no possible damage, thinking about the people who could be affected negatively, and that's part of leadership. And so that's like the one area where I think I'd like to encourage you to have more leadership, and that's on the immigration ordinance. Thank you, Councilwoman Rolanda Kelly, for all your work on this. I know you've put in endless hours, as well as Councilwoman Pro Tem Mikulski. Thank you for your leadership on this. And I think you both know it's not as strong as we'd like it to be, right? And Ferndale's a leader, and other communities are looking to Ferndale. It's not just about protecting our people and protecting the people who are most at risk here. It's about setting examples, too. And that's part of why I live in Ferndale. That's part of why I chose to stay here and raise my kids here, because I knew that we would be supported as a same-sex couple and that we could support our community members who are also at risk. So I really encourage all of you to continue to rise up to the strongest level of leadership that you can, especially in this moment. And I know last time I wore a shirt, not on purpose, but today I looked in my closet. I'm like, well, I'll find one. So tonight I wore, immigrants are not criminals, but the president is. And that's just a reminder of the moment that we're in and that you all are in as leaders of our community. And the immigration enforcement ordinance is especially important and will be a model for others. So I encourage you to pass the strongest one you can. And thank you for your service.
Jeannie Davis, president of the Ferndale Senior Group. I wasn't going to speak, but I realized that there's been a representative of all the voters in Ferndale, with the exception of seniors, speaking out against extending the patio zone and against letting people wander around Pride holding sippy cups full of booze. And It's just the idea that liability alone staggers me. The insurance would probably triple. We would have to have extra police protection. I just don't see it. And it's Pride. The Ferndale Pride already has a very good name. Why would we want to change it? It would hurt our image. Thank you.
That works. All right, Council. First off, I want to say thank you to Councilman Sabatini for your office hours, and appreciate you having a conversation with me the other day. Felt like it was productive and helpful to hopefully receive some feedback from you about the questions that I asked. Council, it's high time that that you as a council put an end to the unlawful and unjust application of police policy here in the city of Ferndale. Tonight, it's my understanding the council will be having a second reading of the policy to equalize and provide equity in the face of what the council believes is an overreach of federal powers through the immigration ordinance. Yet it's this council and Ferndale Police who are blatantly violating my and other Ferndale visitors and residents' civil rights. And I made a police complaint to the city of Ferndale Police about an officer who destroyed a witness statement that he collected in the course of his duties. He destroyed it at the end of his shift. The cognitive dissonance that's found in this letter from Chief Emmy is palpable. The officer believed that the statement did not have any evidentiary value because it was related to a non-criminal call for service. The call for service only required brief notes rather than a case incident report. No policy was violated. Though no policy was violated, there's an opportunity to improve our internal policies. All personnel have been advised to retain witness statements, whether they are connected to an incident case report or not, or a call for service for notes. The cognitive dissonance here is Chief admits that he says there's been no violation of policy, but says that the policy has been now improved in order to ensure that witness statements that were taken from witnesses to an incident are from here on forth retained in the case file. My complaint is, well, I find it a question of trust, whether we can trust this police department and whether we can trust this council in order to not violate our civil rights, even though the council's actively working towards a policy to do exactly that, to help those who are being unjustly prosecuted by the federal government. But yet at the same time, when somebody comes up here and speaks in their constitutional right to engage in profane conduct, in profane speech towards the council, they're summarily removed from the council's chambers. Thank you so very much. Do better.
While the audience is still open, if anyone else would like to speak.
Hi, I'm Drew McCauley. I'm the director of the Ferndale Area District Library. My predecessors, Jordan Wright, Jenny Marr, regularly came to council meetings. It took me a long time to get my feet under me in my role. I just had my one-year anniversary, but I had only been a librarian for 6 months. Prior to that, I was a corporate lawyer for 12 years. So I wanted to orient myself fully to FADL before I became more public-facing. But the time has come to be more public-facing. So I wanted to say hello. And I know several of you. But I wanted to remind council that you are always free to reach out if we can be of any assistance. I know that Fire Chief Robinson uses our program room for training. I help the school district with some of their programming needs. If we can ever be of any assistance to you, let us know. And then on April 27th, our head of marketing, Jeff Milo, is putting together a presentation for the council, and I look forward to being available to answer questions and to provide any information at that time. Last thing, Thursday, 6:30 p.m., Motor City Possum Rescue has a presentation in our program room at 6:30. I have seen an awful lot of possums adjacent to FADL, so just a little thing out there to look forward to. Thanks.
Right here. Good evening, City Council members. I'm Amanda Treppa. As many of you know in this room, as well as up there, I am running for the opportunity to serve and support you as your next state senator. But to the ordinance that I do appreciate you working on, Councilmember Kelly, we worked on it over in Clawson. I was collaborating with some city council members there, along with Senator Stephanie Chang, to get a proclamation passed. And with a lot of pushback, a lot, to be quite frank. And somebody had brought up in opposition that they felt things were partisan politics, things like that. But the point that I made is that fear is nonpartisan. And what I love about Ferndale, as someone who has carried her passport in her purse and in her car for the last year, just out of fear, is I always feel safe here. I'm Black, bisexual, and a single mom. And there's a lot of reasons a lot of people don't want to like me every day when I wake up. But coming here has always allowed me in the city to be in community. And I believe that doing this ordinance, I know we wanted to do more, but it does make me feel better that you want to do something, period. And it allows me to make sure that I feel safe every time I come with this little one anywhere in town. So I just wanted to say thank you so much for doing that. And yes, I know we want to do more. Hopefully I'll be doing that as your senator too. So thanks.
Anyone else before I close call to audience? Okay. Closing call to audience at 8:24. Thank you to everyone who has spoken. I'm now moving on to the consent agenda. Item 7A, approval of the March 9th, 2026 meeting minutes. 7B, adoption of resolution proclaiming April as Autism Acceptance Month. 7C, adoption of the resolution recognizing April 2026 as National American Heritage Month. 7D, approval of the listed appointments and reappointments to boards, cities, and commissions. 7E, approval of the resolutions to support the financial commitment in the amount of $100,000 for Michigan Department of Natural Resources grants. 7F, approval of a special event permit for the 4th Annual Cinco de Mayo Festival to be held on May 2nd and May 3rd, 2026. 7G, approval to backfill a program specialist position. 7H, approval to backfill 2 firefighter positions. 7I, approval of the memorandum of understanding with the Oakland County Sheriff's Office for the team and distribution of high-intensity drug trafficking area grant funds. 7J, approval for the police department to auction and dispose of lost and abandoned property. 7K, approval of the field use agreement with the Ferndale Eagles Youth Football Organization. 7L, approval of bills and payrolls as submitted by the Finance Director and subject to review by the Council Finance Committee.
Madam Mayor, I move we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Consent agenda passes. Now, we had a couple of resolutions on the consent agenda that have now passed, and I would like to give council members opportunity to read those resolutions, and we'll start with Councilmember Sabatini.
Thank you,
to
Madam
read the
Mayor.
resolution he sponsored.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, community, fellow council members, city staff. Before I read this resolution, I wanted to briefly just speak on what it means to me and hopefully some others. Autism acceptance is about more than awareness. It's about creating a community where people feel seen, respected, and able to fully be themselves. I'm deeply proud to sponsor this resolution. Autism is something that impacts me personally, as does neurodiversity more broadly. And it's shaped how I think about making space for others and building a community where everyone belongs. I want to thank the Ferndale Accessibility and Inclusion Advisory Commission and its dedicated members for their leadership on this. City of Ferndale, resolution recognizing April as Autism Acceptance Month in Ferndale. There are more than 5 million people in the U.S. with a diagnosis for autism spectrum disorder, ASD, and many more who would qualify for a diagnosis and benefit from the same community supports. Autism is not becoming more pervasive in children and adults, but rather the increased accessibility to services and professionals is assisting individuals in the process of becoming diagnosed and seeking supports. And the City of Ferndale is home to many autistic residents, and these members of our community are valued and accepted as they go about their daily lives in the city. Adults with autism are often subject to a greater degree of employment discrimination in addition to financial and housing insecurity. And the federal government's recent statements about autistic people reflect extreme prejudice toward autistic Americans, a rejection of their fundamental personhood, and the political will to deprive them of their freedom to exist fully and authentically in public life. Ferndale recognizes the intersectional identities of its residents with autism and the rich and diverse community and culture that is built around their lived experiences. And Ferndale's Black, transgender, and immigrant autistic residents, as well as those belonging to other racialized and marginalized backgrounds, exist at the intersection of many forms of discrimination and deserve our support and acceptance more than ever in the current national political climate. It is critical to ensure that our autistic Ferndale residents have access to the lifelong community support and services needed to pursue their personal happiness, independence, and roles in our community to the fullest. And there are many opportunities for us as a community to take a more active role in engaging people of all neurotypes, creating a more welcoming and accessible society for people with autism. Ferndale is committed to fostering acceptance and a sense of belonging as we work together to create a more accessible, welcoming, equitable, and inclusive city for all. Now, therefore, be it proclamated that the Ferndale City Council designates the month of April 2026 as Autism Acceptance Month, affirms the agency of autistic self-advocates within our community, and encourages residents to move beyond awareness and into celebration of neurodiversity by showing support and acceptance to all of their autistic neighbors and fellow community members. Approved and adopted by the City Council of the City of Ferndale in regular session this 23rd day of March 2026.
Thank you, Councilmember Sabatini, and thank you for your leadership on this resolution. Autism also affects me. My nephew Miles is autistic, and neurodivergency runs in our family, so it's something that we struggle with every day, but we still manage to keep on keeping on. So thank you for your leadership on that. And now I'd like to move on to our Mayor Pro Tem Mikulski for her resolution support.
And thank you to the rest of council for supporting this. Also, thank you to Dr. Ganem for your partnership on this resolution and for your ongoing advocacy within the community and for being such a strong voice. I also wanted to thank the AMPAC representative that was here tonight. I really appreciate him coming out and for him vetting this, reviewing it, as well as the individual from the American Human Rights Council that you ran this past. So again, thank yous all around. And now to read the resolution. The City of Ferndale, Michigan is a community that celebrates its diverse cultural heritage. Arab Americans have been an integral part of Michigan's community for many years, contributing significantly to the cultural, economic, political, and social fabric of Ferndale and the state. And National Arab American Heritage Month is an opportunity to celebrate the rich history, culture, and tradition of Arab Americans and their significant contributions to the City of Ferndale and the nation. Acknowledging and appreciating the diverse backgrounds and experiences of our citizens is fundamental to the community spirit and inclusive nature of Ferndale. Now be it resolved that the City Council of Ferndale, Michigan hereby recognizes April as National Arab American Heritage Month in Ferndale, that the City Council encourages all residents of Ferndale to learn more about the history of Arab Americans, their enriching contributions to our community and nation, and to participate in events celebrating Arab American heritage, and that the City of Ferndale commits to continuing its efforts in fostering inclusivity, understanding, and appreciation among its communities, thereby strengthening the unity and diversity of our city. And just as a final note, Prasad, I think you're still here somewhere, maybe? There you are. Stay tuned. We do have a Palestinian American Cultural Awareness resolution coming on May 15th.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Mikulski. All right. And now we are moving on to the regular agenda. Just give me 1 second to get in that screen here. Item 8A, approval of the second reading and adoption of the Immigration Enforcement Ordinance. Before we get into the discussion regarding this, I will need a motion in order to put it on the table. Who will entertain?
I'll make a motion to approve the second reading and adoption of the Immigration Enforcement Ordinance.
Support.
Oh, that wasn't it. No, to acknowledge the second reading and authorize the adoption of the Immigration Enforcement Ordinance, as sponsored by myself, Councilmember Kelly.
Support.
Okay. And now we are opening up for discussion. And actually, background.
Happy to provide some background. So the ordinance committee did review some prospective changes to the ordinance following feedback, particularly during the call to audience period at our last meeting. The changes are reflected in a red line version with this agenda packet, but from a high level, what we're looking at is more specificity to the exigent circumstances, particularly that they will not apply in matters that are not exclusive to immigration enforcement, and to further clarify the enforcement section to acknowledge administrative authority pertaining to disciplinary action for violation of the ordinance. There was also an edit for consistency across defining that life safety language, and then a correction to the U.S. code that was referenced.
Discussion. I'll start to my right.
So, first I want to thank Paul and Prasad and Kat for your help working on this ordinance. I know it's not where we started, but I feel like it's better than where it was, you know? And I think if you look at good, better, best, we started at best, we landed at good at the first reading, and I think this is much better. And I'm confident in the ordinance committee and Councilmember Johnson and Mayor Pro Tem Mikulski to continue working on it and to get it to that best place that we all want. So I'm really happy with the progress that we made and taking everything that everyone said into consideration and making it a little bit stronger. I really appreciate that. And I want you all to know that we are going to make it even stronger. I have full confidence in that. So.
I also wanted to thank everyone involved. Councilmember Kelly, you have just been a relentless advocate for this, and I truly do appreciate it. Prasad, I really appreciated speaking to you and you giving context to some of the changes that needed to be made. We did add in some language in there about no city department shall inquire into, collect, or disclose immigration status. I thought that that was really important. That was a really good win for the ordinance. Where we Where we ended up missing a couple things, Prasad, you sent in 4 bullet points, and I went back and forth with our legal counsel. It just didn't make it in time. So we do have time to iterate on this. I think everybody has brought up really good points tonight about wanting the strongest and the best, and really the ordinance that represents what the community truly wants. Sometimes it just takes time, and iterating to get to a better place is part of how we do better as council.
I echo those sentiments. Councilmember Kelly was absolutely committed to getting this through the ordinance committee and making sure that we did, as much as we could under, the laws that exist as they are and the restrictions that are placed on us. And so I think, we can probably find ways to push a bit more at the boundaries in a few places, and I think we'll continue to work on that. But, I know something I frequently tell my team at work is sometimes half a loaf is better than no loaf. I can still make a sandwich with half a loaf. So for now, let's make some sandwiches, and then we'll get that other half of the loaf. Keep working on it.
Thank you, Councilmember Kelly. I think everyone said it well. I would just add that, this is a great foundation that you've laid. It's going to take work to get it right and where we'll be more proud of it, but this is Ferndale and we do progressive and difficult things. So I'm excited to work with you on this further and my fellow colleagues and the city staff and the community. Thank you. Thank you. It's very inspiring, and I'm proud of us. More work to do, though. Thank you.
And I just want to, I couldn't say it any better, but I also want to just really stress the hard work that the ordinance committee goes through. lots of ordinances that need to be reviewed, and they managed to prioritize this one, which is testament to their commitment to this, because it's not as easy to do, because it takes a lot of back and forth and a lot of redlining, and even still now, they're looking for ways in which to make it stronger. So I appreciate the work of the ordinance committee for sure, and definitely appreciate the work of Councilmember Kelly working with community members to get the ordinance to where it could be, to provide some protections right now as it stands. But like everyone said, there's more work to be done, so I appreciate it. And with that being said, we need a vote. Roll call.
Kelly,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Mikulski,
Yes.
Sabatini,
Yes.
Leaks May.
Yes. And with that being said, the ordinance for immigration, I want to say it correctly here. The adoption of the Immigration and Enforcement Ordinance, second reading and adoption has passed. 7-0. 5-0, excuse me. I'm thinking school board days, okay, never mind. And now we're moving on to item 8B. That is, I want to say it completely here. Okay. Adoption of the amendment to the social district ordinance. And in order, prior to discussion, I'd like to get that motion.
I move we adopt the amended social district ordinance defining new boundaries.
Support. All right. And now we're opening it up to discussion.
I'll provide some background on the item. This was driven by a request made by the Downtown Development Authority to extend the boundaries, largely to align with the DDA's own district boundaries. But ultimately, after review by the Ordinance Committee, they determined that to be more consistent with the legal application of the district boundary setting rules, it was feasible and prudent to consider only extending to where a potential new qualified licensed establishment could ultimately connect. As such, the request was narrowed down just a little bit so that the boundary is Pearson to the south, Livernois to the west, Oak Ridge to the north, and would remain Leland to the east. This also changed some language regarding parking lots and green spaces within the district, simply allowing them to be incorporated into special event spaces in the future, but not as a recurring use. And then one thing I do want to clarify, I recognize that there was probably some community confusion over the original cover letter. This item is truly separate from the subsequent item regarding the Pride social district question. Extending the social district boundaries doesn't force any event into remaining open, and certainly nothing changes the authority of City Council to consider suspension of the district at any time.
So I think there needs to, again, be just a little more clarity. I've heard people in support of Ferndale Pride and it remaining an alcohol-free event, which I too love. I love that too. I think the confusion that arises is whether or not, even if the patio zones are expanded, how will this impact Ferndale Pride in the future? So I think that's probably what we need some clarity on, even before we move on to the next item on the agenda. So I think that if we can have that, whoever would like to present that.
I mean, as a member of the ordinance committee, it has no effect on Pride whatsoever. Moving the social boundaries just means that the social district is larger. Any event will be able to still request a closure of the patio zone. And that isn't being changed by this. We haven't changed any of the language or city policies around closure. It's always the city council's prerogative to approve or deny a request for the closure of a patio zone for a special event or for any other, really any reason, any reason we wish. So this ordinance has no effect whatsoever on Pride or any other event.
I think we needed that clarity because the people who came out and felt that it would impact it, and it just needed to be made clear.
And through the chair, I can just mention, I was at the DDA board meeting where this was voted on, and originally they wanted to expand it to the entire patio zone area, which would have went to Pinecrest. And some of the board members had pushed back a little bit, being residents, that, you know, maybe it was a little bit too far. And the board unanimously voted to expand it to Livernois. And that's where it came to the ordinance committee. So it was a unanimous vote by the DDA board to expand the patio zone several months ago. And it's just been in the works through the ordinance committee.
And through the chair, through you, Madam Mayor, just another bit of clarification. Colleen kind of hit on it a little bit, but I think it's, you know, an important thing to talk about just a little bit more maybe, is the sort of rationale that Pro Tem Mikulski and I used when we were kind of going through the final draft of this ordinance and where we would set the boundaries. Obviously, the initial request, the original plan for boundaries was considerably larger, but as Colleen indicated, we went through and looked at where does it make sense to extend the boundaries? Why would I can't really justify extending boundaries beyond where there could reasonably, rationally be a licensed premises. It's unlikely we're gonna have a bar all the way down 9 Mile, almost at Pinecrest. It's just an unlikely location. And so I don't see the need to expand the social district that far because there wouldn't be a licensed establishment there in any reasonable sort of city planning effort in the foreseeable future. So we did kind of cut down the request a little bit further even. It's not a lot, but we did shave off a little bit. We were also guided by where we had letters of request from businesses. So there were a couple that wrote letters and said, we would like to be included in the social district. We would really appreciate it if you did expand the social district to include us. And so we took that into account as well when we were choosing the sort of final proposed boundaries for the council to vote on. So I think that's a kind of an important additional bit of sort of inside baseball on how we kind of came up with the final proposal.
Through the chair, I have some questions about it, just, and even really, I think, education, expansion of the zone or not. I'm just wondering kind of what metrics do we look at when we talk about success for the patio zone? You know, what do we consider success now, and what would we consider success after expanding? And then do we have some sort of feedback loop open for residents and businesses to kind of give their feedback afterwards to kind of gauge the anecdotal data?
I think it'd be useful to hear from Director Beeker, as the DDA is the manager of the social district.
And I just sort of quickly put together an overview of the Ferndale patio zone. So when we talk about this, I think the language matters. The legislation is a social district. This is very common in the state of Michigan. This is legislation that came out in 2020 statewide during pandemic that allowed licensed establishments to sell alcohol for consumption off of their premises. We have been a leader in this area. We have the patio zone, as we call it, because it actually is branded and stands for pay and take it outside. So the patio zone in Ferndale has really been an impetus for a lot of economic activity within our bars and restaurants. Not all choose to participate, but we do have varying options for those who do choose. And we've actually been viewed as a leader by other communities and how we've iterated our social district within Ferndale. So one of those things that we've done over time, we examine the program in close conjunction with police about safety. To my knowledge, and I'll look for Chief Emmy to confirm this, there have not been any noted incidents that were driven by patio sales. The patio zone is in effect only until 10 p.m., so it's 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. Originally, I think it was limited in days, but we did not see over time any concern about the days. The timing is still, again, limited to 10 o'clock because this is not meant to, go wild in downtown Ferndale. As the DDA, we're very conscious of being a safe and approachable environment where we don't want people to just come here and go nuts because you can take a drink outside. So we have been really conscious about monitoring safety and any incidents, which we have not seen any. And then when this legislation came out to begin with, we actually had two zones, and then we realized over time it made sense to combine them. So we do have this track record of look, see what's happening, and test it, and make small changes, and go over time like that. We don't want to just, again, open it up for everything across the board. Something else that we have done, I think, uniquely in Ferndale is introduce different cup sizes. So the state law is outlining that you can only have 16 ounces or less. It can't be glass, so it can be other materials. We have in Ferndale made sure that this is actually compostable, biodegradable plastic. So this was one of the concerns from previous council, that we don't want to increase single-use plastic. So we have a requirement through the DDA to manage the cups as being biodegradable. We introduced the different sizes because we realized not all beverages come in the same size. So we wanted to make sure that we reduced that. We're also looking for alternatives that could be reusable cups. Right now, the legislation does not allow that, but it is something that we in Ferndale would very much like to lead with by making changes to this program where it makes sense and showing communities what can be done. We also are exploring ways to not have to use the cups at all and to sticker individual cans. So to my knowledge, I think we're one of the first communities that is doing this as well. So we're looking to introduce these small experiments over time. I think I heard from the audience that is one concern of where's the data on this? We do monitor it within the businesses. It is not the leading amount of sales for them, but it is an economic benefit. Right now, when restaurants are competing for other communities, costs are high, margins are low. We see this as one extra thing that restaurants can do under certain circumstances to help them stay afloat. So that was one of the reasons why we looked at increasing the boundaries to incorporate additional establishments that are not currently in these boundaries. So it's something extra for them to offer. It should not be the main thing. I wouldn't think this is the bread and butter of any of our businesses.
Are those success metrics available publicly? sales or how, whatever you're measuring?
We don't have anything that's specific with the quantifiable sales. Those would be individual by the business. But we have done over time surveys. We did one last year in advance of this about from businesses what they viewed the impact of sales on their of patio sales within special events, and we got some mixed reviews. Different businesses feel different about different events, so I'll put that out there. There's not unanimous like or dislike across the board, really, but we did hear overall that like they are an additional thing for businesses to offer during events.
Okay, thank you. So the original question, like what would success look like then in the expansion of the zone? Not for events, I mean generally year-round.
Yep. In general, success looks like different businesses that can participate. On north of Woodward, we have 2 that are interested, to my knowledge, in participating. So I'll also emphasize, let me see, I think I have a map here. This was our previously proposed boundaries. You'll note it doesn't go into the neighborhoods. The patio zone is not a, take your cup from home into downtown. It is not a take your cup from downtown all the way home. They are supposed to be restricted to these areas. What success looks like, it looks like incorporating additional businesses outside of the existing boundaries. In particular, we see that in the north and south along Woodward. We also have some opportunity to open up further east on 9 Mile. We have Bad Brad's Barbecue coming back in. We could have further establishments more east on 9 Mile that would actually open it up in that way. To Councilmember Johnson's point, we don't have any currently at this time. The location where Bad Brad's would be, it stops at Leland, but that is something that could consider if a business is looking at East 9 Mile. Would this be a benefit for them to participate? Would they be able to operate more easily in Ferndale than Hazel Park down the street that is modifying their patio zone on the basis of ours? Does that answer your question further? Of it looks like businesses participating.
So you'll be monitoring that and reporting on that and just.
We don't get the complete sales. We can't distinguish what is a patio sale versus a in-person sale, but we would see this over time with foot traffic, that people will choose to come to Ferndale. One of the things that we look at with thriving data would be how much time are people spending in downtown Ferndale. So presumably, if you can come for one thing, you can walk around amongst different businesses and you spend more time and you patronize more businesses.
Okay, so you'll be surveying the business owners and just kind of monitoring how it goes anecdotally at the least. Okay.
Yep, we currently do that too.
Great. Okay. Yeah, please. Yeah.
It's kind of related to your thing. Sorry, before we lose the thread. To Councilmember Sabatini's point in finding data, is it possible for us, because we know we have the rules around the cups and things like that, is that something where we could kind of get a sense of like the quantity of cups that were literally used for this? I mean, because they're gonna know, like generally, roughly, right? It's like I ordered 500 cups, I got all 500 cups out the door. It's like, great, okay, that looks like there was a lot of uptake. I mean, is that kind of a metric we could seek to get?
That is something we are starting to look at more and more, because previously when the cups were being given away to businesses, we did not, like if they put them out for water, those became water cups. That was not our intention, because again, they're custom printed. There's a different cost to these cups. So it should be really upon request. So we can see from different businesses based on their request of cups. We know some still have old cups that can still be used, but over time, that is our intention, to see who's using what, how often are they using it, what cup sizes might we need differently.
Staying on the question of cups, did the Sustainability Commission sign off on them? They like the biodegradable ones that we chose, or I forgot how you characterize them. Sorry.
Yeah, it's biodegradable. Okay. I don't know if it's biodegradable plastic. That's not really a thing, but like they are compostable. They are not plastic. They do biodegrade in commercial composting system. We last year applied for a grant that would allow us for like different receptacles that would encourage composting of the cups. So I believe that was also mentioned about waste and the concern there. We have compostable cups for a reason. We would like to see them go to compost and not a landfill. So if we had better receptacles to receive these cups, that is something that could help with that. Another comment was made about waste. We as the DDA are also replacing our trash cans throughout downtown. And this was one area that was noted with that if we're expanding these, we do look at kind of human behavior. How long is somebody going to walk with garbage in their hand, whether it's a cup or a package or a banana peel? Where are you going to put that? So we do keep an eye on that with our overall cleanliness. So we are prepared to put more trash receptacles throughout the town, and then hopefully over time co-locating those with compostable stuff.
Okay.
Some of the businesses affected or would benefit from this, can you just kind of share some of those businesses that cannot participate right now but would be able to participate if it was expanded?
Yep. So one business that sent a letter of support for council was the Corner Shop, which is opening on North Woodward, let me see, between Maplehurst and Woodland, I believe. We had another letter of support from Little Ghost, further to the south. They don't currently sell alcohol. I don't know their intentions to sell alcohol, but they would be a business that could also benefit from people being able to take drinks there. The Jared Heaslip Gallery, which is also closer down to Marshall, they would not be included in the proposed redistricting, but they saw this as an opportunity that people would have more foot traffic to their establishment, and it also could affect some things they're considering in the future.
Through the chair, I got some public safety concerns. I think you mentioned that Chief Emmy said there was no additional related incidents when the patio zone opened. With the expansion, especially into the more residential or less densely lit areas of downtown, have we looked at all at, the noise, the traffic, the parking, the lighting issues that are existent in those stretches of Woodward? Essentially, you've got more people walking around with alcohol south on Woodward, north on Woodward. It's not very well lit. Are there concerns there, Chief, about how that's going to play a role? Additionally, we're moving into the more residential street areas here. Do we anticipate people parking there and then walking to get alcohol and walking back? And could you speak on that a little bit, please?
I can speak to it a little bit in this frame of, like Jenny stated before, we started with an incremental approach to this. We separated the zones; they were smaller, and as we dipped our toe in the water, we realized that we weren't encountering the kinds of problems that we thought may have. We're not getting, it's a tailgate at a football game in the parking lot. We're not getting mass people walking to and from neighborhoods or refilling at cars. It has really been a very pleasurable experience. The patrons that are taking advantage of this are not, I would say they're not the rowdy type. They really are using it responsibly. We haven't seen any issues. Typically, our issues with alcohol enforcement are in the establishments. It's not coming at all from people who are partaking in the patio zone. So that makes me feel, I guess, warm and fuzzy about them extending it a little bit. But it is strictly to the public right-of-ways, only the sidewalks. You're not supposed to go beyond the sidewalk. And, the officers haven't encountered really any problems with this. So we are confident that we're ready to take the next step with the DDA and support the expansion. Like I said, I don't know if it's so much about measurable as it is the experience and satisfaction of the option. So to speak to that a little bit, I wish I had more measurables for you in terms of violations issue. There just aren't any. There really isn't. It really has been an easy lift for our department. And I can tell you, going into it, I had reservations. But the DDA has been great, and council, I think, outlined a very good policy as far as social districts. I love that it doesn't include parking lots. I think the less we we mingle like drinking and hanging and carousing in a parking lot and moving vehicles is a good thing. And I think that it's really worked out well, if that answers your question.
It gives me some insight, yes, thank you. I think I would like us to just be mindful of continuing to survey residents, community members, visitors, business owners on how it's going. And then also if we're expanding or, our downtown footprint or trying to drive traffic elsewhere, I think it's a good time we're doing the wayfinding project, which is great. I think delineating where the patio zone is and minimizing confusion when you've got people crossing Woodward or preventing them from going into parking lots, having receptacles clearly available where these zones end is an idea I'm sure you're considering. But then also, and I don't know, I don't think this is a DDA issue, but taking a look at our lighting and in the city in general, to align with this DDA zone, so that we are, if we're increasing the fun, we're increasing the safety in a measured approach. And then finally, just a vote to expand, thank you, Chief, a vote to expand this zone, as Colleen mentioned, is not a vote on approving it for events. It's a extension of the zone in general, and then always under the discretion of council to make changes and decisions afterward.
Correct.
Thank you for confirming.
And also the events committee, because these events go before the events committees to ask for certain exemptions, correct?
Correct.
Through the chair, based on Councilmember Sabatini's line of questioning, if we opt to pass this tonight, would it make sense to maybe come back in a year with some numbers, some figures? What I would love to see is that economic benefit that you were talking about. Like, how do we quantify this? How do we show which businesses are participating? What does their participation look like? And what does that look like in economic activity in our downtown? Is that something that, is that something that you think would achieve your goal?
That and working with Chief Emmy on the public safety component, I think and then, anecdotal input from the residents, community, I think would be great also, yeah.
I guess on that note, if we decided to move forward with this, do we need to have like a contingency or some sort of additional language in there asking for that additional information a year from now?
If you want to make it an official part of the motion, otherwise I think just council direction is probably sufficient. I'll set a calendar reminder.
I'll stick with council direction.
Through the chair, we can also present the amended management plan for council's review. This is something we will have to be updating that. It is far time for us to be updating it anyway, but having a better understanding of where our districts will be, at least for the time being, and then incorporating, again, better signage, better marking of these areas, better instructions. This is a good opportunity for us to update a lot of these things, and then, to your point, know what we're looking for in order to seek the data to support it.
And lighting. Sorry.
I cannot commit to lighting with the patio zone that is bigger than this, respectively.
Yeah, I can't overstate it.
Are you referring to east, north and south of Woodward, or?
Yeah, just
Yeah.
yes.
I think, I understand what you're saying. I understand what you're saying.
We do, through the Michigan Downtown Association and other affiliations, have some really great lighting contacts. This is a topic that gets brought up a lot, so we can certainly look into that.
Thank you.
So I don't have any problem with businesses that were previously unable to participate in these patio zones to be able to benefit from this as far as their sales. And then with, of course, you're committing to the data that would be provided to see if that's actually working for these businesses or not. But what absolutely cannot happen, and I don't want to happen ever, is for Ferndale Pride, an event that's just been phenomenal at least since I've started, which was 14 years ago, uh, to suffer because of this. It's always been alcohol-free, it should remain that way. There should be dry events in Ferndale, I have no problem with that. Just like we want inclusion as far as the businesses to be able to participate, we also want inclusion for people who want to come to Ferndale who don't want to necessarily participate in alcohol events. So if we can get there so that we don't lose Ferndale Pride for any reason, and then these businesses are able to participate and it's shown to benefit these businesses, then I would definitely be in support of this. But we'd have to get there, and I'd have to know that that's the outcome.
Well, this ordinance doesn't have any, again, this ordinance has no effect on whether an event has alcohol or not. This event just sets the boundaries of a particular district, and the council controls what happens within that district vis-a-vis closing or opening that district. So if, we want there to be no alcohol at Pride, we'll just simply continue to vote in favor of a closure when we do the special events resolution for the event. But this ordinance would not change anything about our policy of council having the authority to close or open the patio zone.
And did I read that this is did I hear that this is a living document?
Yeah, I think so. I think one thing that would be helpful, as Councilmember Sabatini and Pro Tem Mikulski have been sort of asking for and indicating, probably it's worthwhile, in my opinion, as one member of this body, but it's probably worthwhile every few years having just a holistic review. Is it working? Are these the right boundaries? Because, yeah, maybe we've extended the boundaries and then it turns out no one past a certain point is participating. Okay, we can talk about whether we want to shrink the boundary or whatever. Yeah, we can always review this anytime we want. So I think, I think we could definitely view this as a living document, just like, a lot of the kind of things we do.
Any other questions regarding the expansion of the patio zones before we go to an individual vote?
Johnson.
Yes.
Kelly.
Yes.
Mikulski.
Yes.
Sabatini.
Yes.
Leaks May.
Yes. So the ordinance to expand the patio zones, to adopt and amend social district ordinance defining new boundaries has passed. And now we're moving on to the next agenda, which is the approval of the special permit for the 16th Annual Ferndale Pride.
I move we approve a special event permit for the 16th Annual Ferndale Pride to be held on Saturday, May 30th, 2026, and suspend the Ferndale Social District, known as the Patio Zone, during the event.
Support.
Open it up for discussion, or do we go to a vote?
I think we're good, but
Why don't
I
you go
want to
ahead?
hear what Michael says.
Why don't you say?
Oh,
what you
I
have to say?
just want to say that the Special Events Committee had met with the Ferndale Pride, and we support the event 100%, and we sent this to council in hopes of the support with the guidance on what to do with the patio zone.
Through the chair, Michael, is there anything different about this special events? I didn't see anything that looked particularly different this year than last year's.
No,
but
it's pretty much a Xerox copy of last year.
Okay. I didn't think it was any different.
So saying as to how this needs to be voted on every year, I just think that there needs to be some timing. I can't imagine I can't imagine it because I've seen you do it, but all the work that goes into planning this and to have to worry about getting something approved, when is there a timeline? I'll ask you, Michael, Jenny, or anyone, that Ferndale Pride should come forward.
Well, special events policy requires 90 days.
90 days.
Yeah, 90 days for an application for us to receive to take it to the Special Events Committee to review and to determine whether or not they support to send it to council for approval. Other than that, there's nothing, no written language that gives any other timeline.
So 3 months.
Through the chair, I think Councilmember Mikulski had, or Mayor Pro Tem Mikulski had a good idea with, maybe coming up with some sort of, petition where you could get 60% of the businesses, and maybe that could be something that could be done, 6 months in advance. I don't know, something we could look at. So that way, you have more time to, plan Pride or know what's going to happen with the patio zones. I thought that was a really good compromise.
Right, through the chair. What we don't want to have happen is that we're communicating last minute, that you feel like we're shifting the goalposts, and that you feel like things are happening that you just have to react to. I really appreciated having a conversation with you the other day, and you kind of talking through the challenges and how far in advance you plan things and how much time it takes. What I want ideally is for us as a council body, for myself in conjunction with you and maybe Krista Johnson, to sit down and figure out what makes sense to make this an objective process, not a subjective process, so that it takes it out of the whims of the council body and into something that you can rely on, something that you can count on every year, so that, again, it makes, my goal is to make your life easier. I know how much effort you put into Pride, and it's appreciated by so many people, myself included. I just want to make sure that whatever we do to basically get this sorted out, we do it in a way that is conducive to you being able to do your job as an event organizer and all the event organizers that are in this town. So if that looks like something like a sign-off process to make sure that the businesses who understand the impact on your organization sign off on it, and maybe it's a 60%, I don't know. I don't know what it looks like. I've thrown around different ideas, but whatever we can do to get you to a place where this is easy and simple, and you don't have to come back to council and we don't have to have this conversation, I know I would be in support of.
Thank you. Couple things to answer your questions. The fundraising window really needs to open 9 months before Pride. That's when businesses say, okay, we have some money left over from last quarter. I can sponsor something. I want to do Pride again. So that's our first chance to capture that first revenue. We really want to keep Pride free to the public. That makes us very different from other Pride festivals. So that is why we do the sponsorship the way we do. It puts all of the pain, I guess, on me and some really amazing people who've come forward to do fundraisers in the community, but the majority of the money is raised by me with sponsorship. The other thing I want to say is that it's written for 90 days. We are at 67 days. Every single minute of my time right now needs to be devoted to making sure that the stages are prepared, that all of the vendors get marked in. I can't even say yes to my vendors right now because I can't handle those credit card fees if I have to refund them. 67 days is not fair. Also asking me, I've heard different versions of the get a petition. Asking me to fight for my job in this city just it's not something I want to do, to be honest. I've also heard that I was not allowed to get signatures of businesses that did not sell alcohol. So I don't understand what the point of that would be. I think the majority of the folks that would be opposed would be the ones who actually don't sell alcohol. But if they're excluded, that's a lot. Also, I don't know if you guys know what 60% of the downtown businesses is. I have a very incredible master list that I've created of emails. We're talking about hundreds of businesses are located in downtown. I think in just one building alone, I feel like I pulled 25 cards. So we're talking about hundreds of contacts, and this was the same idea with the 5K. We have no 5Ks left in Ferndale, but one of the rules that was proposed was every house within, I think it was 500 yards of a 5K gets a letter. I mean, these measurables are not possible for us. And to say that 2 more people who get paid $15 an hour at the door is taking out these businesses on Ferndale Pride, I just do not buy that. they're making a lot more money than a regular day. The DDA has to find other ways to supplement days that are not Ferndale Pride, days that are not DIY and art fair. Though we are the exception that brings in a ton of money. The rest of the influx has to be handled in some other way, not putting the burden onto us.
Real quick, Julia, I just wanted to say what we were talking about was the businesses that partake in the patio zone, and that's 33 businesses, just so we're clear on that.
Correct.
It would be 33, so you.
33 businesses driving an entire event for 30,000 people, plus other businesses that do not benefit from the patio zone, because like the yoga studios don't benefit from the patio zone. Had a very frank discussion with Modern Natural Baby, one of our biggest stores, does not like the patio zone. It's not beneficial to her. It doesn't benefit every business. And so the idea that alcohol is now becoming the driving factor in our Pride Festival, really, that's not what it's supposed to be. This is about queer rights, being on the streets and being able to celebrate safely. And it takes it to a level where we know we can't guarantee safety under any circumstance, but now we're adding alcohol to a fire, which, as we know, flares.
So I don't think that it's unreasonable to ask for an objective way to go about doing this. I think Pro Tem Mikulski is on a very good idea. I think getting a percentage of 33 businesses far in advance of the event, and then I would be willing to say, as long as it's permissible legally, such that our special events policy says, once you achieve the threshold of signatures, by default, you get a closure of the zone.
For how many years? Every year I have to go and petition
People have to get, people have to get petitions all the time to do speed humps in their neighborhoods. You got to get petitions from all your neighbors.
I can't believe you're comparing 100 people on a block, which, by the way, I do that petition for my block party every year. I can get 100 signatures on a block very quickly. To getting a petition to have one of the most nationally recognized events in this country. I am called from other events outside this country. In fact, we had a meeting with Barcelona the other day. They're pulling from our ideas in Ferndale. We are that well nationally recognized. Dave Waite calls me for ideas. I talk to Dave Waite for ideas. That's the guy who manages Motor City Pride. We've been doing this for over 16 years. We are the experts in our field at this. I don't understand why bar owners, especially the one bar owner who had the nerve to come in and talk, a straight man who has told me in the past that he moved his business to Ferndale because when he was at Motor City Pride, he saw the potential in the city, and now he's trying to take away the potential from the gay community. That should not overpower the voices of the gay community.
So we don't set policy. We don't set policy based on any of those considerations because we can't. That is not what a government does. So we don't set policy based on whether it's arising from the gay community or not, or from the straight person who owns a business. We can't legislate that way. That's not how government works, because when government does that, that's a bad road to go down. We legislate objectively. That's what we have to try to do the best of our ability. I think we have a very objective idea. It's not even something relevant for this year. We're closing the patio zone tonight. But we have, once again, last year we had this conversation at this table, colleagues. Well, not all the same colleagues, but most of us.
Some people did. We watched the video.
So-
There were 2 voices that spoke on that video.
Once again, this council had conversations about it, and we said that we would, in 1 year, we wanted to work on this idea. We didn't get around to it. It is what it is. That happens. We're now saying, once again, 1 year notice, we want to put in place some sort of objective mechanism by which this council decides how a patio zone is closed. Because right now, as Pro Tem Mikulski said, it is subjective. We are using our subjective judgment to say whether we want to close the patio zone for an event. That is not what government should do. It should not be subjective. There should be objective, measurable goals. And yes, I do compare it to a speed hump, because this is just a permitting and events thing. You have to set aside all of the other things.
It's a really interesting way to look at our gay community.
I mean, sure, as a member of the gay community, I get to define how I live in it. Like, I mean, and you don't define how I live in it, so please don't. But I think that as a government, I don't legislate as a gay person. I legislate as a council member that needs objective measures and objective methods to do this. I do not think it is all unreasonable or onerous to ask for signatures. I mean, my God, we've got to get tons of signatures to run for council. So, I mean, it is not unreasonable to say that someone just has to go and have conversations with business owners.
Hundreds of hours of conversations with business owners
I don't
in
think
order
it's
to
hundred- I-
provide
I
this
just-
event for the
I don't
the
believe
city.
that it's hundreds of
You know
hours.
what?
all
This
right.
is so insulting. Donnie, I'll be honest, this is so insulting.
I mean,
And you can keep
I
explaining
can't do
how
anything about that.
how great your idea is, but you have told me in private
My
that you
idea?
didn't want, oh, sorry, Mikulski's idea, but you have told me in private that you will not accept the signatures of businesses that don't sell alcohol. Right before you use very insulting words with me.
So,
I just
hold on.
want to,
And
let me
Madam Mayor,
let me just say something here.
I did not say those things. I said that we would define how signatures would be gathered for this process. I'm sorry that Ms. Music has decided to create her own interpretation of that statement. However, what I said was, we would define what businesses can provide their signatures. I can't make that decision on behalf of the council. The council makes that decision.
All right. So what I'm hearing is that we don't have any definitive protections that Pride would be able to function every year. And Mayor Pro Tem Mikulski has come up with an idea regarding the petitions. Have you yourself come up with any ideas? What the timeframe you said, I think you mentioned, was 9 months.
So I would have to essentially in July petition, because then I have to decide if we get the signatures, now we've backed it up to 1 year, then I would have to decide if we are able to get the signatures, then we have to start the process of turning over the sponsorship applications, doing all the paperwork, things that take a lot of administrative time. If we don't get the signatures, then we have to dissolve the event. So those are our options. But that's the corner, apparently, that some of council is happy backing me into.
So the other alternative then is to, if you're able to come to the events committee and make a request earlier than 90 days, and that process is started, then does that seem like that is feasible for you to?
I mean, I would have to have the signatures before the 9 months.
I'm not talking about the
talking
signatures.
about?
I'm talking about the process that you go through every year.
Oh, no,
and
90 days is it? No. I mean, we're at 67. It's not even honored, but
Oh, but
90 days is not enough.
What is enough?
Honestly, 9 months. Like, for an event of this scale, we're talking, like, same as the parade company. We actually bring in more people than the parade. They spend a full year. We already started the notebook for 2027. We started it 3 months ago. I mean, we need 9 months of approval and especially if you're going to move to something more complicated.
To Michael, Larry, 90 days, is it possible for them to be able to come to the events committee 9 months prior?
If there's a request for that, we're always open for that opportunity for anybody, because there's even people that come to me a year and a half in advance of an idea they might want to propose to the city for a new event. So the door is always open there. I just want you to also remind everyone that I realize that the agenda is specifically about Ferndale Pride, but we have more than one event that takes place in Ferndale. So we have to be careful that we're reminding ourselves that we're setting policy or decisions based on not one event, but all these events. And so what we're talking about right now, if we're aware of it now, then the event planner for Ferndale Pride, like any other event, now has today to understand what might need to happen for 2027. So it's not a surprise. I do agree with her that when she came to the Special Events Committee meeting, that she expressed her concern about the timing. So she's got a valid point there. But now for 2027, that comment is not valid anymore because we're talking about it today. So regardless of whether council decides to approve in the future about the patio zone, we know that the discussion tonight is that you support the patio zone being temporarily shut down for this year. So we need to possibly consider the idea of whether or not, because it's a non-alcohol event anyway, they don't get a liquor license for the event. Whereas other events, we have tried to move since last year with support, Cinco de Mayo and also the Art Fair weekend, they are embracing the patio zone. They're not fencing up the events anymore. And the reason why is because we were trying to encourage people not to make people feel like they're caged in. So we're trying to embrace not the patio zone solely, but we're trying to embrace a feel of openness and welcoming into our events downtown. And so it also is a savings of cost and expense to the event, because now they don't have to apply for a special events liquor license and to spend all the money on fencing. So they're saving $8,000 to $10,000 that they have expressed concerns about the cost of doing an event. So we are being mindful in many different directions on a special event, not just one, but all of them. We're very careful about that because we had the same challenges with the Woodward Dream Cruise, which is another large event. The Art Fair Weekend is another large event. We don't just have one large event that happens in downtown Ferndale. So please just, let's all be mindful that it's not just about one event. I'm a gay man. I support Ferndale Pride completely. I support my LGBT community. I served for 10 years organizing Pride Fest before it ever came to Ferndale. It was from me that Ferndale Motor City Pride came to Ferndale. Now they're downtown, and then because of the inspiration of certain members of our community, they kept one here. So we get to have our own. So we celebrate that. But I also know, even regardless of my sexual orientation, I have to look out for everyone. So it's not just about one event, but at the same time, we need to be considerate that there's different personalities, because every event needs to be unique. It has to be representing what it represents. You can't look at the Woodward Dream Cruise and say it has to be just like the DIY. That's not giving them their own personality. Ferndale Pride has its own personality, so when she wants to say something, we need to hear it, but that doesn't necessarily mean that we all agree with it, but we're listening, and that's what's so good about what we do here in Ferndale. We do actually listen to each other, and we don't always agree, but we can respect the decisions that we make.
So through the chair, just one quick clarification. Nothing has been decided on how we find an objective path forward. I just want to make sure that you know that I'm willing to work with you. I'm going to work with you. We'll figure it out.
Thank you. I would also like to point out that no other event has to have parking off-site. No other event has to bring in shuttles to bring people in. No other event has that published on their website, including city events. No other event provides alternative parking. No other event doesn't take a shutdown day extra because we make sure that the roads are open and clear, because 9 Mile is a bus route that people use to get to work. We don't have an extra setup day. So our event has actually worked in the confines of a more difficult situation than any other event. And this is not a for-pride business. And yet, here we are, begging you guys, still, based on the comments from Michael Larry. When I came to Special Events Committee, that form was not filled out the way I sent in my application. That application has changed about 11 times in 16 years. I came to the committee. It was told to me that day that this was happening. The last time I heard it was during one city council meeting in a very brief statement. Nothing was said to me for 300 some days. My main job is Pride. I had an opportunity to go on vacation this year. The moment the news called and said, in 25 days, can you be on the news? You know what I did? I go on the news. I don't buy a plane ticket. I take every opportunity to speak well about this city on the news, on podcasts, in the newspaper. I'm frustrated. I'm extremely frustrated that now the folks are saying, hey, you know what? You got to grovel with these businesses because they got to make a buck. They're making a buck because these events exist in Ferndale. 16 years ago, before these events came here, it was pretty dead downtown. And some of us were living here long enough to remember 25 years ago when you couldn't have a clothing store. You couldn't have Modern Natural Baby downtown. All these things started to happen as these events came, and tons of people came, saw how special this place was, because Ferndale didn't have a great reputation when I moved here. They would see this, and then they wanted to come live here. It happened over and over again. This event's value is bigger than a bottom line of a bar. That's my final statement.
Through the chair, thank you. Your expertise on this, I think, is deeply valued, and we should take it into very strong consideration. I'm not opposed to an objective solution for this. I think where I'm having trouble wrapping my head around is that when we're setting the criteria for the objective solution, it is subjective, right? So Julie is saying it's difficult to get those signatures. We're saying it's not, and that is subjective, not objective. So, you know, I think council is all in agreement that we want and have to work with Julie on this. You know, where I'm coming from, I am new. I haven't been on these conversations previously. I haven't spoken with the businesses who are in support of this. I'll tell you where I'm at now is my instinct is to trust the subject matter expert who's been doing it for 16 years. Michael, not to discredit what your contribution to it, but Julie is actively putting this on, and we want her to continue doing so. So, you know, I think we leave today with the commitment to work together, and we'll have a great Pride this year, and going forward, I'm hopeful.
When we say we're going to work with people, we need to work with the organizers of all events.
I
We set a
agree, but
policy, because that's what you have to do.
so it's okay. So to that, all events aren't the same, and so
Which is why we have to talk to all the events, because they're not all the same. So you have to pick a policy that can be as objective as possible, taking into account all the needs of all the possible.
so can this policy not be a living document and be changed on for different events?
No, you don't want to have different rules for different events.
But I
Why
think
not?
that with the events committee, there are exemptions that can be made for different events.
Yes.
And that needs to,
But I think we're talking about setting an objective standard by which those exemptions are granted.
which
Right
we don't have right now.
No,
So
yeah.
we don't have that right now, and I'm sorry that we don't have that right now. But what I know today is that Pride can continue operating the way it has operated before. And I think what I heard is that council's committed to keeping Pride as it is. I think that's what I heard. So it's not everything you wanted today, but Pride's going to go on, and I hope that we're able to come up with something that allows it to continue to go on for many more years like it's been in the past.
I just for the record would like to note, I don't particularly want alcohol at Pride either personally, but I am a sober person. But I also make these, want this to be objective. It's not whether I want a specific outcome or I want to help businesses. It's that we should have a set practice, and then it should be consistent for everybody.
Do we have any other comments, discussion regarding to approve the special event permit for the 16th Annual Ferndale Pride to be held on Saturday, May 30th, 2026, and suspend the Ferndale Social District known as patio zones during the event? May we have a roll call?
Johnson.
Yes.
Kelly.
Yes.
Mikulski.
Yes.
Sabatini.
Yes.
Leaks May.
Yes. And with that, the motion passes. So I'm looking forward to a great Pride. All right, we are moving on to item 8D, adoption of the amendment to the animal sales ordinance. And that motion is, we have a lot of motions tonight, wait a minute. Let's see here, let's get it right here. To adopt the amended animal sales ordinance as sponsored by Mayor Pro Tem Mikulski. We'll need a motion.
Motion to adopt the amended animal sales ordinance as sponsored by Mayor Pro Tem Mikulski.
Support.
And now, discussion and background from city manager.
So this is a relatively straightforward change. The ordinance committee does recommend that we incorporate new definitions of retail establishments and professional service establishments as it pertains to the offering of animals for sale. This is identified as a means to address concerns associated with animal sales at locations where it is not the primary business function of that establishment.
Thank you. As our city manager said, this is pretty straightforward. This was meant to address some underlying issues that we have seen within the community of establishments that are not pet stores, but were having events where animals were offered for sale. There was an individual I worked with named Tiffany Perkins who cited a lot of legal language. I believe the one that we looked at the most was from Chicago. And we found that adding in language about not advertising for sale could be a way that we move forward so that we limit the kinds of businesses who can be involved in selling animals without technically selling animals. So it's, like I said, it's relatively straightforward. It just took a while to get there because we had to find a way to try to close that loophole.
Do you feel like this ordinance has closed it?
Only kind of. Only kind of. And the reason I say that is because, without naming any businesses, there's a concept of puppy yoga that has been sweeping many, many areas, and ours included. And as long as the animals are not advertised for sale and are not for sale on the premises, then puppy yoga would still be allowed to move forward and can happen at an establishment. There are other things that I've looked at, like animals for entertainment. There's an ordinance in Hazel Park that prohibits animals for entertainment, but there was some concern about how that could potentially prohibit like agility training for dogs and dog parades and things like that. Things that would be innocuous that our residents might actually enjoy, versus a kind of business that has been aligned more with breeding, which was part of the intent of the pet store ban. We'd really put that forth to prevent unscrupulous places from opening up that were sourcing from unscrupulous breeders. So we're kind of there. In the case of a business that is not actually advertising the animals for sale and says that they are not for sale within their advertisements of the event, we can't stop them. But if they ever do advertise the animals for sale, this is something that can actually limit them.
And how do you feel, Councilmember Johnson, regarding having worked on this ordinance as well?
Oh, it's great. It is. I think, this is another one of those situations where we don't know what we don't know. People are creative. They always come up with some new idea, and that new idea may not be fully covered by the ordinance, but we'll keep an eye out. Social media, one of the very few positives of social media is that it's not hard for word to get out. Like, oh, this event was done, or this event was really cool, and I got to, I don't know, put a lizard in my mouth. And we're like, we don't want people putting lizards in their mouth, so we should probably legislate. And so, we'll keep an eye on that kind of stuff. This one is, I think, kind of a living ordinance where we have to watch and see what the new trends are in animal-based events and make sure that they're, fun for people, safe for animals, and they don't perpetuate the, especially the animal breeding industries.
Which I feel like this has been a living document when you brought it forth way back then.
Yeah.
So
Tweak it when we need to.
certainly all of the emails that we're getting regarding this, regarding the suggested amendments, I suspect those will continue should something else move forward. Do we have any other discussion regarding the?
Through the chair, just a thank you to Mayor Pro Tem Mikulski and Councilmember Johnson. I've had a lot of residents reach out about this topic and in support of your ordinance, and I look forward to supporting you on it.
May we have a roll call, please?
Sabatini?
Yes.
Mikulski?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
Kelly?
Yes.
Leaks May.
Yes. So the adoption of the amendment to the animal sales ordinance has passed. And now we're moving on to item 8E. Approval to purchase sewer inspections CCTV truck through Co-Pro and purchase contract from M-Tech in the amount of $398,000 and $398,407. And I believe, oh, there he is. He's already up at the podium. Okay.
Thank you, Mayor. So the first of two, these will kind of blend together. There's a slide that kind of talks about both and puts in context what the total purchase price is for both of these pieces of equipment, but we will start with the sewer CCTV truck. purchase. And I know that is a large price tag, and so I want to start at, this is what we're talking about when we say camera.
I'm
It's
sorry.
not-
May I stop you just for a moment?
Go ahead.
We didn't have the motion. Let's do the motion.
I move to approve the purchase of one sewer inspection CCTV truck through CoPro Plus purchasing contract 2023-JC-060-M from Imtech in the amount of $398,407 from account string 592-000-977.500 as submitted by the DPW Director, noting that Fund 592 is the Water and Sewerage Fund. This is not a general fund purchase.
Support.
Go ahead.
So this is what the camera is. When we say camera, you think of just a camera. All of our phones have cameras, but this is actually a crawler, a rig, a harness. It is a camera. It is almost a robot that goes into these pipes. It can go hundreds and hundreds of linear feet into a pipe. I'll get into a little bit more about the specifics, but just know that this is not just a camera on a pole. This is more inclined to a robot plus a truck that is outfitted to do programmed sewer inspections. So sewer CCTV system inspection, why this matters. CCTV identifies defects before failure. Most of our sewer pipes, about 66%, are not lined and are roughly 80 to 100 years old. They're made of crock, many are cement, they fail, that creates basement backups, other problems, we need to do emergency repairs. So this is a piece of equipment that supports long-term infrastructure maintenance, again, prevents backups, and it allows us to minimize emergency repairs. Our current approach is a one-year CCTV program. We do that 1 year, and that's followed by 3 years of cured and placed pipe through the sewer improvement program. So it's a 4-year cycle. And we do about 10% to 15% of our total 422 linear feet. And then currently we use our camera setup to do emergency inspections, but we do not use it to do programmed, and I'll kind of explain how that's one of the limitations of what we currently have. So our current equipment does have limitations. It's a 10-year-old camera system. I actually found out today that it is a 12-year-old camera system. We purchased it for $100,000 in 2014, plus the van that it's in, which is a 2012 Econoline. Adjusted for inflation, that camera cost, and this is a DIY system, is about $150,000 in today's dollars. And it's a DIY setup. As you can see, it's a camera. It's literally a desk in a van with an old desktop and a monitor attached to it. The rig that you'll see, and you'll see more modern equivalent that we're asking for purchase today, has kind of a spindle where the wire comes out. This is such an old piece of equipment that there's a lot of tension and pressure put on the wire. The wire ends up actually having to pull back the sewer cam to an extent. We've lost the sewer cam in a sewer before. It's, I believe, happened twice in the last 12 years, and those are expensive repairs because the only way to get it out is to do an excavation, dig into it, remove it, repair the sewer, put everything back together. So it is not ideal. It's limited for efficiency and usability. We were scrappy when we put this thing together. I think we thought we could do more than we actually could do with it. It is just not built for sustained field operations. It's difficult to scale to in-house inspections. We would like to do program maintenance. This is not really a piece of equipment that can do that, and it's at the end of its life. So continued reliance on contractor is what happens when we don't have equipment available to do these sewer inspections. And it also gives us limited flexibility between cycles. What we would do is we would like to take away from that larger cleaning and inspection program that happens every 4 years and do maybe 5–10% internally through programmed DPW staffing for 3 years to kind of chip away at the total scope of the linear foot for the CCTV program. So the proposed equipment, you're seeing a purpose-built Q's HD mainline inspection system. And ours is going to be a little bit different. What's in front of you is a little bit different. It's actually in a transit, not a box truck. Box truck's a little bit more expensive than a transit. So this is a truck-mounted HD inspection system. It includes a crawler camera for mainline inspection, integrated software, onboard computer, and it's a fully outfitted inspection truck. So the benefits are that we can get high-quality video and reporting, inspect during and after cleaning. We get faster identification of defects, and it's built for ongoing program use. Importantly for us, when, and going back not even that far, we were actually using VHS tapes. Most of it is on a CD now. But what we would like to do and what we're working on doing through our GIS is we're working on putting together a system that we can hypertext our video. So in the field, someone's looking at a situation, rather than doing an inspection, poking around, looking for evidence, whether it's through our old archived catalogs, they should be able to look at GIS, click a button, and see what they did in the field, because with a system like this, that is possible. So a little bit on cost procurement, purchase details. The vendor that we're looking at is MTech. They're a regional distributor for Qs, and I'll go over some of the Michigan communities that use Qs in the next slide. They have a co-pro contract, which is open to government organizations, total cost of which for the sewer camera and the truck is $398,407. Comparable units were demonstrated to DPW. We looked at one from, I believe, McQueen, Duhaney at the time, and then I think Beck as well. Pricing is consistent across vendors for this type of equipment. This is a cooperative contract again, so we're getting the best price for the camera and the truck. The Qs sells through the regional vendor, which is MTech, and that pricing is locked on through this competitively bid process. And then the current CCTV contract, every 4 years we budget roughly $250,000 to $325,000 to do CCTV on, again, roughly 15% of our total sewer. So a little bit of context, and this is where it's combined with the Vector. Water and sewer budget context, $15 million in appropriations in 2027. That's actually a little bit low. I'm trying to be conservative. I don't want it to seem like I'm stacking the deck. We're spending about $1 million combined on CCTV and a Vector. If those things last 7 years, and I'll just say that the CCTV we currently have lasted 12, and the Vector was 2015, so we're at 11 years. So it's likely that they'll both be in our system for longer than 7 years, but if you divide that by $1 million, that gets you to about $150,000 roughly per year over the course of those two pieces of equipment. So $150,000 divided by 15 million is about 1% of the budget. So that's where it is in context within the water and sewer fund. Emergency contracting costs. This is what we may lose. You may not. You may get lucky. These numbers could be worse. They could be better. But this is a realistic scenario for what we would be missing if we did not have these pieces of equipment available. So sewer CCTV, looking at our 2024 contract with Taplin, so economy of scale, they were about $6.50 per linear foot. Sewer main investigation, it's not unrealistic to say we would have about 1,800 linear feet of emergency work to do. You multiply that by 650, you get about $11,700. Water main repair, we do about 20 a year, sometimes less, hopefully not more. We typically have to contract 3 to 4 of those a year. There are times where multiple breaks occur because we had a pressure spike or just it's a bad year and the ground thaws. Things happen. We have to hire another crew to do that work simultaneously to us. Cost for a water main service repair, roughly $8,000 based on the last couple of years. 4 of those is 32. So potentially emergency repair total, which is a realistic number, could cost us $43,700 if we didn't have these two pieces of equipment available to do the work at the time the emergencies occur. Q's HD camera owners. I actually wrote these down so I didn't have to read them all, but we have several in Oakland County: Royal Oak, Hazel Park, Northville, Oakland County, Birmingham, Bloomfield Township, and I will say that Northville has a smaller system. So the program impact and recommendation, to summarize everything. The program impact, this will maintain the 4-year inspection cycle, but I expect that we'll be able to chip away from the total linear foot needed to go to contracted work. So this will reduce the contracted inspection footage. It will allow real-time adjustments. We'll be able to integrate this system with our GIS data. It will support emergency response plus repair verification. It integrates video into our asset management. The outcome is more flexible, data-driven program and reduce long-term contract reliance. And then the recommendation is to approve the purchase of one sewer CCTV truck as presented. I'm happy to take questions and comments.
Job is fun. Your job is fun. A lot of intricate details. but I'll open it up for conversation, discussion. Or are we all discussed out?
There's a little bit of that.
Through the chair, you had the list of communities that have them. Are there any nearby communities that, well, I guess two-part question. Can we share with them, like rent it from them, or is there a nearby community that doesn't have one that we could go halvesies or thirdsies on?
That I'm not sure. I will say, so in Oakland County, Royal Oak, Hazel Park, Northville, Oakland County, Birmingham, Bloomfield Township have Q's HD cameras. I do know that Oak Park and Berkeley have separate systems. They do have similar equipment. These are typically things that most departments have that provide water and sewer maintenance, unless they contract everything out or they contract out to Oakland County. These are just pieces of equipment that most municipalities that do provide water and sewer services will have on hand. And part of the reason is, yes, there are, to some extent, for planned proactive maintenance, you can do a little bit of swapping. It does cause a little bit more of scheduling issues. Sometimes the Vector is a better example of this, but seasonally, DPWs are doing the same work a lot of the same time, so it may not be as easy as going halvesies, just because the month of May may be the month that both organizations need that. Emergencies occur, and if you don't have one and someone else does, their emergency takes precedence over your emergency, unfortunately. So, and we do a lot with the Vector. Oak Park, Hazel Park have covered us. In the past, we had a backup to that system, and I know I'm getting ahead of myself because that one's next, but we do borrow and use neighboring communities' equipment, and we loan our equipment out to them, but it's typically to cover some type of an emergency. It's not because one of the communities doesn't have that piece of equipment, if that makes sense.
It does, yes, thank you. Is there, so in the business world, we'd be able to like write off depreciation for the assets, but we don't pay taxes, so we can't do that. Colleen, is there like something we can do to spread out the cost over, I mean, is taking a bond out for this the only way to do that? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it is a piece of equipment. We could look at a lease purchase agreement or some sort of installment purchase agreement with the provider or through a bank if we wanted to spread that out. Obviously, the trade-off there is it tends to come with some sort of interest accrual on it. So the total cost of the purchase is higher over time, but for a cash flow perspective, it's spread.
Yeah, thank you. Is there another model that's maybe better than what we have currently, but not this one?
Yeah, so there are other models. The Q system comes in something that's almost like a box that gets removed, put in the back of a truck, it gets secured, it gets broken out every time. Those are a little bit more efficient. I didn't actually cost out different, all that we costed out and demoed was a purpose-built unit. Just because those other ones, and I would have to do a little bit more research, but I just don't see those as something that we could potentially use efficiently to up our percentage of program maintenance. We really want to use this system. It's something that you can get in, you can go out, you're on the job site, you're working, you can spend more time in the field doing productive work, whereas those other systems are kind of systems that are required to move around a lot. They have to be set up, they have to be pulled down. It's just, they're harder to deploy and they can take away from the work you actually get done throughout the year.
Thank you.
Through the chair, Councilmember Sabatini hit on some of the points that I was also thinking about. I'm so glad that you brought up that slide that had the other cities that are using this system. And I do wonder if there's opportunity there. Do we know who Pleasant Ridge is using?
So Pleasant Ridge is a different model than us. They, I believe, have a contract with WRC, and WRC through Oakland County performs maintenance and repair to their water and sewer system. And I will just say that WRC is on this list for someone that uses a Q's HD system, and they likely have that same type of truck.
Okay. Flipping back to 2024 with Taplin and the combined sewer cleaning and televising. What I'm not understanding, and again, maybe it's just the time, and we've had a lot of discussion tonight. So we did that in 2024. Is our CCTV, is our camera system just not working, and that's why we contracted out to Taplin?
No, we did not. So we would still plan on doing programmed maintenance. Taplin did 60,000 linear feet. We would not have the capacity to do that. Taplin did that in a 2-month period of time with 2 trucks using 6 staff members. So that's a program that kind of gets in there. It does that every 4 years. It does it quickly as well because it guides 3 years of sewer improvement programming. What I think that DPW would probably be able to do would be to chip away at that number, maybe do 5 to 10% of that total project scope for 3 years, maybe do 25 to 30%. That contract would get smaller because we would be doing more program maintenance on those 3 interim years between the 4-year cycle for CCTV.
Interesting. So we would still have to contract with Taplin every 4 years. We're just thinking it wouldn't be 265,000.
Correct. If we did 30% of that, 30% of that would fall off. And I did put numbers together. Even if we did 15% of that, let's say, so 265 is what Taplin's was. We budget 275 to, well, actually, I think it's more than that. 250 to 325 every 4 years. So 10%, even at the max, would be 32,500. If we're able to do more than 10%, and I assume we would be, we'd be looking at offsetting the cost for contracted labor more like $50,000, $60,000.
Can you go back to that slide with the different areas listed?
Cities.
Who's Royal Oak Township using?
WRC. They provide all of their water and sewer.
And I'm assuming we costed out using WRC instead of going this route?
WRC doesn't, as I'm aware, do this program for anyone. It's either 100% or none at all. So WRC would come in for a community and do all of their water and sewer services. And that is the model that they have with Pleasant Ridge, with Royal Oak County, Royal Oak Township. So they do their program, capital operations, they do everything for them.
Interesting. Is there benefit to that model versus what we're proposing?
Yeah, I think those are, so for Pleasant Ridge specifically, it's that they have 2 people in their DPW, so they just don't have staffing or capacity to do much with their water and sewer. We're a much larger city. I'm not sure how many miles they have. We have 80 miles of water main, 80 miles of sewer. We're slightly older than Pleasant Ridge, but we just have a lot more maintenance, emergency repair that takes place throughout the year.
I just keep coming back to the idea of shared services. I know it was a goal of council to investigate different possibilities where we can work with other cities. No city is an island. And if they're using WRC, I wonder if there's a way that we can make a dent there. And again, maybe we become the service that, that they use in part, or they use the camera system or something. And knowing that Hazel Park uses this, I would love to have had the opportunity to speak to their city manager and just get a feel for how it's going, you know, what they've been doing, like how often they use this tool, just to get a better sense of it. Having this as a list helps me make a more informed decision by having those conversations.
Yeah, there are a lot of comparable communities in here. There are Oakland County communities. There are communities of similar size. There are large communities, small. This is a camera system that's kind of the industry standard, one of the industry standards. There probably are 2 or 3 that are equally popular. Again, we demoed most of those in a similar platform and build.
I think I'm always in favor of intergovernmental cooperation and stuff, but I think one of the downsides is we would have to have had long-standing conversations to work out the logistics of sharing this kind of thing. I mean, to Jim's earlier point, and I share it, we want to be able to set our own schedule for, all of the maintenance we want to do. If we had to set our schedule around other people's schedule, that's going to be a nightmare. And I think it's why we see so many jurisdictions on this list. They're, Gull Lake is not huge, but they got their own for a reason. And I think it's just because with this kind of stuff, it's hard to navigate other people's system maintenance schedules. It doesn't mean we can't do that, though. It doesn't mean that we can't have that conversation and start saying, like, okay, what would it look like to sync up or make it a plan to do it. But I think it's a lot of work because you have to coordinate the water directors of these various places and figure out which ones, are even open to it outside of emergency situations.
I'll add, because that just made me think of, and I'm not sure what Dearborn's operations are or some of these other ones on this list, but I know at Ferndale, DPW, we make plans, and sometimes those plans are great. Sometimes we think on Friday, we know what we're going to do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then we get to Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and we haven't done anything that we thought we were going to do on Friday. So it does add a level of difficulty to coordinate with other departments when sometimes just the nature of DPW work is you have to be flexible and you have to be able to say, we're going to do this Monday, but if we can't, we'll do it Tuesday, and if we can't, we'll do it Wednesday, or maybe we can do a half day on Tuesday and a half day on Wednesday, and it can become a hard thing to coordinate if you're both sharing the equipment. And I know that just from experience because there are times where we have 2 skids and multiple divisions it can be difficult for them to work around themselves internally with us. So not saying it's impossible, but I'm just saying that there is some complexity there.
Yes, the question is, how are we feeling tonight regarding this vote?
I guess through the chair, one last thought on this. What I don't want to lose out on is the opportunity to explore those interlocal agreements if we move forward with something like this. I don't want it to just be, hey, we passed this, let's never talk to Hazel Park or Pleasant Ridge or Royal Oak Township or any of our neighbors about potentially sharing this equipment. And that's the part that I'm struggling with.
I really like the idea that you hit on earlier, Pro Tem, about like insourcing, where like we are the source. So like someone could say, well, I don't really want to buy this myself, but we could set up a rental rate and someone would pay us to use our equipment for a period of time. When we already know it's like, well, we're going to take some down weeks. Do you want it? And we could make a little cash. I love that idea.
I guess what I need to know is the frequency in which these are used, because when you're talking down weeks, when we get those calls from residents, they don't care about down weeks.
True.
Right?
Very fair.
So what is that,
Yeah.
I like the idea of collaborating and working with other communities, but I also don't like all the emails we get when people are waiting. So
Right, and with something
it's a balance here.
basement backup, we do want to respond immediately. We do that investigation same day. We start with looking at the manhole. If we see something that requires further investigation, that emergency repair does need to get a sewer camera in the ground. It needs to happen as soon as possible when someone does have basement backup. So if we didn't, and we currently have a system that is ready to fail, it's 12 years old. That doesn't seem old, but it is when you're talking about camera technology and computer technology. It's going to fail, and the next time it fails, it's not going to be repaired. So our alternative, unless we have some other type of alternative lined up, is that we will have to call someone like Advanced Underground Inspections, or someone that we can rely on through a partner cooperative agreement through SACWA to do this work, and they do not guarantee, as we are not a member of SACWA, to be here in a timely manner. Typically, they would say we can be there next week, and that's just the way we accept it.
Can we become a member of SACWA?
We cannot, because so maybe, potentially. I haven't really given much thought to that. We do have 2 connections straight from GLEWA, so we have 2 PRVs. All of our water infrastructure is currently connected to GLEWA. There's a 54-inch, I think, 54-inch SACWA that runs down Livernois that we have no connection to. We have no PRV pit. We have no meter. We have no ability to connect to. They run at a higher pressure than us. Is it possible? Maybe. I've just not given it a lot of thought, and I think the number would probably be prohibitive.
Through the chair, thank you, James. I mean, I'm want to just, trust your expertise on this, but I see $1 million for 2 pieces of equipment, and, just the question around the affordability issue arises. But I'm seeing, maybe this is a question for you, Colleen, that there is no budget amendment required. So does that's indicating that these costs were already accounted for in the water fund budget?
Yes, this is part of our capital improvement plan, and it is figured into the fiscal year 27 budget already, which obviously hasn't been adopted, but we've already started to discuss.
Thank you.
And one thing I will just add, it's not just my expertise. I appreciate that. That makes me feel great. But I want to say that we're a Democratic managing department, and all the guys collectively have way more experience and expertise than I do. I'm trusting them. We've demoed these pieces of equipment. We've talked to them. Our water supervisor's been here 30 years. Our crew leader has his S1. Michael Olson, who's our deputy director, has immense experience in a number of communities within Oakland County. So it's not just my expertise, but it is really the collective expertise of our department.
I appreciate that. Thank them as well. And so, I mean, just to be clear, not to harp on this, but so it is getting late. I apologize. You have figured out that the numbers show that the savings over time is getting our own rather than continuing to rent or follow some other path. You've done that due diligence. Am I right in understanding that?
Yes, we will chip away at that price. I can put some more numbers together that specifically look at total cost of ownership, what we're currently paying, what we paid for the old equipment, if that's of interest to council.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see that. Thank you. Appreciate the effort there.
Let's see how we're going tonight. Roll call.
Johnson,
Yes.
Sabatini,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
Mikulski,
Yes.
Leaks May.
Yes. Yes. Make it work.
Thank you.
All right. All right. All right. Item 8F, and the last regular agenda item for tonight, approval to purchase Vector 2100I. I'm not reading on that screen. Those words look tiny. Combination sewer cleaner through the state of Michigan. MI deal contract from McQueen Equipment in the amount of $684,265.
Thank you,
Madam-
Mayor.
Yes.
Oh, sorry.
Do we need a motion?
Yes, that's why I said it.
Sorry, James. Madam Mayor, motion to approve the purchase of one Vector 2100I combination sewer cleaner from McQueen Equipment through the state of Michigan, deal contract number MA240000000166 from McQueen Equipment for $684,265 from 592-00-977.500 as submitted by the DPW director.
Support.
Thank you. So now this will follow a similar style and format. This is for the Vector combination sewer cleaner replacement purchase. Why this matters, program context. For anyone who doesn't know what a Vector is, I'll get into it a little bit more, but to put it simply, it vacuums things out and it cleans the sewer using jet pressured water. So the sewer cleaning program is routine cleaning, prevents backups, blockages, maintains system capacity and performance. I should have included some pictures from the Taplin 2024 CCTV because we love our trees and trees make roots. Those tree roots do block over time a lot of our sewer main. So this supports long-term infrastructure condition. Again, this works sort of in conjunction with the CCTV truck. Current approach is a combination of in-house contracted cleaning. It supports inspection and repair programs. And when I say contracted cleaning, that larger CCTV program that occurs every 4 years requires cleaning in front of inspections. Because in order to inspect, you need to clean. You can't inspect through roots, obstructions, other things like that. So this, there's an increasing need as well for this equipment. It's not only used for sewer cleaning, it's also used as an excavation tool. So we use that for lead service line verification to locate the curb stop, and then it's expanded proactive maintenance again with sewer, and we also use it for emergency water main repairs. So our current equipment does not have as many limitations as the last one we discussed because it was purchased in 2015. It is still old. Our fleet replacement policy calls for the replacement of specialized equipment like this, heavy truck specialized equipment every 10 years. We're not much over that, but today or this year it's 11 years old. So it's in pretty good condition. It is currently the primary unit for all of our operations. And we do use it, again, for more than just sewer cleaning. We use it for catch basin cleaning prior to inspections, rebuilds. We do use it for sewer cleaning. We also use it for excavation anytime we have lawn and soil that can be pulled up. It's really helpful and beneficial to use. It's almost like, if you think of it as like a wet dry vac, like just an industrial wet dry vac. Anywhere you're doing excavation, and in Ferndale, this is often the case, there are other utilities underground. So you really want to use something that quickly removes soil and material without having the potential to damage a water pipe, gas main, or water service or another sewer. So limitations here. Right now, we have a single unit, and that can create an operation bottleneck. We did have an older unit that we kept in service for 17 or 18 years. It was in disrepair. We sold that as surplus to another community. It virtually had no value because it was no longer functional or operational. So you may say, but do emergency repairs happen concurrently? Yes, since I've been the director, so 23, 24, 25, and actually 26, we have all had water main breaks that happen simultaneously. We were lucky this year the way they occurred. We had service and main breaks that we were able to work back to back to back to back days to take care of them, but there have been things that broke at the same time, required a contractor to come in and do a water main replacement simultaneous to us just because of the size of the water main break and the severity of it. So with only one unit, we cannot perform multiple functions simultaneously. It limits the ability to expand in-house work, and this is the reason I'm framing it this way is because we're proposing to keep this unit in service as a backup at least until we finish our service line verifications in the next 6 years. So the result is that we risk service delays and, again, continued reliance on contractors. So the proposed equipment is pretty much the same piece of equipment. It's a Vector 2100i combination sewer cleaner that you see pictured here. Again, high-pressure water system used for cleaning. Vacuum system is what sucks and does debris removal. This supports sewer cleaning, catch basin maintenance, hydro excavation, emergency response, key improvement. This enables cleaning and CCTV inspection to work in tandem, even if the other Vector is booked on lead service line inspections. So the purchase details, similar. There's a My Deal contract. That's a cooperative purchasing that ensures competitive pre-bid pricing, standardized configuration. This model is the industry standard. Vector is what most of our neighboring communities use. I believe Detroit uses them as well. I don't know as much about Wayne County, but I know Allen Park, Southgate, Taylor, all have Vectors. It is the standard piece of equipment. It is sold in our region by McQueen Equipment through the My Deal contract. This delivery, we discussed a little bit, but these are usually take 5 to 6 months. We don't expect to get the CCTV truck either until July 1, so these do align with our 2027 CIP. And I won't go over all of this again because we've already gone over it, but we can go back to that slide if there's any questions. So the program impact recommendation. This program impact, it retains existing unit as a backup. It is older than we would like, even for, well, I guess that's not true. I mean, it does make sense to leave this in a backup. It's in good working condition. It's 11 years old. If we keep it for 6, it's going to be 17. That's kind of pushing it. But hopefully it gets us through the lead service line verification program. So this will reduce the risk of service disruption. It will expand our capacity. We'll be able to perform work simultaneously. We'll be able to do concurrent emergency response again. It'll expand our in-house sewer cleaning ability. It will allow for more strategic use of contracted services. It supports, again, the lead service line verification program. It allows us to do some proactive maintenance, and the outcome is more reliable, flexible operations for both water and sewer. And then I just added this picture so that you can see it's not something I even really thought of until I was working in public works, but a water main break, you're not just digging, you're dealing with a pool of water. So really without the Vector, some of these, sometimes we can't get valves to close all the way, so the excavation trench just turns into a pool of water, and you need a Vector, like a trash pump or a submersible pump that you would put in there. It just doesn't have the capacity to push water or pull water out like this piece of equipment does. So for a lot of these water main breaks, they just can't happen without a Vector. We actually, ours was in service, and we had to borrow Hazel Parks for a water main break that we just had this year on Hilton Road. And without that, I'm not sure what we would have done. Because these are so in demand that it is difficult to find rentals and leases for this equipment. It's used by so many communities. It's used so often in the private industry. So it really is important to our program. So the recommendation, again, is to approve the purchase of one Vector 2100i combination sewer cleaner as presented. And one thing that I did fail to mention is that the price of this was about $500,000 in 2020/2021. During COVID, if you apply 4% every year between then and now, you get to about $610,000. So it has gone up slightly more than the cost of inflation. And I'm not an economist, but I think that happens with specialized construction equipment like this. And I'm happy to take questions.
I feel like we're about to have the same conversation again. And I think that's what you meant when you said you could go back to that slide, the communities that are using this, right? Is that what you meant?
Well, the water and sewer budget context, I mean, to mention the communities that have it, we can just name all of Oakland County, probably half or more of Wayne County, and then Macomb County. Vector is really a standard. If you pay attention and you're driving, you will see a Vector driving down the road during construction season, I guarantee it.
McQueen is the industry. I mean,
Standard.
everybody uses McQueen pretty much. They've kind of got a lock on it,
Yeah, and they are the regional vendor for Vector in
for
this
better
area.
or worse.
Through the chair, I think you answered a lot of my questions in the last one, and I appreciate you taking the time to do that. I thought of something as you were talking. When our current one was in service, need of service, do we service those ourselves, or we send those out?
We do not.
No, no, okay.
Not the Vector. The Vector was going to Duhaney. Duhaney still does some work in it. I think historically Duhaney was a vendor for Vector as well, but now it is McQueen rather. They have the sole contract, and we do send to McQueen as well as to Haney.
For new purchases, do they warranty these types of vehicles? Like if something
I'm sure it has a 1 to 2 year standard warranty.
Yeah.
And we do, just to clarify a little bit, we do a lot of our own maintenance. We don't send these in for everything, but when it's like a pump part, something has to be welded, something that we could potentially do damage to and then require them to come in and fix, we do send the specialized piece of equipment in. It's actually, it's pretty similar to a fire apparatus, and it's on a truck, but it is specialized equipment. So we work on the truck, and then we send it out when a pump or some type of specialized equipment has to be replaced or repaired.
Understood. Thank you.
So through the chair, you kept mentioning lead service line verification. Don't we use Gustafson HDD for lead line verification?
We did, but we do not anymore. It was cost effective, and council approved adding 2 staff members to do those verifications internally going forward.
Okay. And we made that switch in 2024, was it?
No, that was 2025. We got approval, I believe, to hire the first of this. I can't remember if we said the first of this year, but we are just now hiring 2 additional staff members. They will all be on board by March 30th.
I was just looking at the 2024 item, where we spent $920,000 for Gustafson HDD, for the lead line verification plus replacement services. So.
Yeah, I believe that was a contract extension after we ran out of SRF funding.
Yep. So we won't need that in the future. We're bringing lead service line verification in-house. We're still going to outsource lead line replacement, correct?
Correct.
And how many hours per year is the Vector in use, like rough estimate?
Oh, man. I had all of that on the lead service line recommendation, but I believe what we talked about, let me think, I can do some math. So if we're trying to do 500 to 600 verifications per year, and we do 8 a day, that's 75 days to do 600 verifications. And that locks up 2 people and 1 Vector.
Perfect, thank you. That is what I was looking for. I mean, that, to me, that explains why we would need a second one. I am balking at the price tag because it's a lot of money. But if we have one tied up for 75 days for 600 verifications, I mean, there's 75 days is, I can't math, it's after 10, what is that, 2 months?
Yeah, but we're thinking work days too, so 75 divided by 5 is 15 work weeks.
Okay.
So roughly 4 months of the year would be used for lead service line verifications. And then in addition to that, there would be times if we did only have 1 vehicle that you couldn't use it because something else would take priority or precedent.
And same question as before, is there any way that in its downtime, we can, I don't know, source these over to neighboring communities in some way, shape, or form?
Yeah, so that is a good idea. and going back to the other conversation, you know, MDOT does set rental rates, and the way we use them internally, our special funds do reimburse our general fund for rental rates that are established by NDOT. There's probably a way, I mean, I'm familiar with loaning things out, but I'm not familiar with loaning things out for cost sharing. We do have interlocal agreements that are based on need, in which departments do, in emergency situations, do this, but we go to Southern Oakland County Public Works Association meetings, and we have an interlocal agreement with all of the members of that community to do this. So I will bring up and see if there is interest for cost sharing, because there are certainly some neighboring communities that do not have good vectors, do not have reliable equipment, and potentially there is a way to make that work.
I'm a little spaced out, but, so I think what we're talking about is possibly renting out to other communities, correct? And I guess what I'd like to know is that the cost for renting it out would also be factored we would factor in repair because more people would be using it. I just, want it to be worth the while.
Yep, so the good news is that MDOT rental rates do include repair. I can't remember exactly off the top of my head, but I believe it's repair, maintenance, admin, storage, fuel, liquids, and that, I think, is it. They even actually include depreciation for newer vehicles, but that equipment rental rate has all of those things baked into it. So assuming that the person doesn't do something negligent with the equipment and they bring it back and only used it appropriately, the hourly rental rates should cover all of those things.
Questions? Roll call?
Sabatini?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
Kelly?
Yes.
Mikulski?
Yes.
Leaks May.
Yes. All right.
Thank you, Mayor
Get your
and Council.
equipment. All right. Wow, what a night. But I'm going to use city manager for department head updates.
Communications.
30 seconds or less. Department updates. Council.
Real quick, Ferndale Learn is starting again for the 4th year in a row. It is an in-person get to know your government program every Thursday from 6:30 to 8:30 from April 9th through June 18th. Different departments host their own sessions, presentations, games, station tours, etc. We don't really have that many signups so far, so if y'all could push it to your networks, I would appreciate it. All the information is on ferndalemI.gov. The schedule and the sign-up sheet are on there. So reach out for any questions. Extension 132. Thank you.
Parks.
I don't know if I can go that fast, but I'll try. All right, Extravaganza is this Saturday. It's from 1 to 2 at 1 p.m. We'll be at Wilson Park, and it's for ages 0 to 4. 1:30 will be Geary Park, and that park is actually going to be sponsored by the Elks Lodge. And at 2 p.m. will be the main event at Martin Road Park, where the Easter Bunny will be there. So if anybody that wants to come up on an egg hunt, we'll see you this Saturday. For sports, we have a new program. We're offering NFL flag football. Registration is currently open. Our T-ball, youth baseball, adult softball registration is also open. Our youth and adult pickleball and tennis programs registration opens this Friday, actually. And then lastly, our lovely seniors have a meeting this Wednesday. They'll be making Easter baskets. So if you're interested, you can come to the senior meeting at the Hazel Park Recreation Center at 11 a.m. There's a tea house trip that's open right now. Registration ends on April 2nd. And then lastly, the deadline to register and for final payment for the Mackinac Island trip is next Friday. Thank you.
That's all.
That's it? Okay.
We had a couple people drop off.
All right. All right, then I'll start to my right.
I have nothing this evening.
Mayor Pro Tem Mikulski,
Likewise, I have nothing this evening.
Councilmember Sabatini,
Nothing this evening, Madam Mayor.
Councilmember Johnson.
Nothing.
Well, I had a whole list, so, so I'm just going to go through it quickly, and I'm going to shorten this. Wizard of Oz, great show, full house, Sunday, it was wonderful. Mayor's Business Council, pancake breakfast and meeting tomorrow at 8:30. I had the pleasure of reading at 3 different schools this past week, two fifth grade classes at Ferndale Upper, four classrooms, but 8 classes at Ferndale Lower, and then 2 second grade classes at Webb. And Councilmember Kelly, one of the 5th grade classes, remembered when you helped support their initiatives, I think it was last year. They pulled up a picture of that, so I want you to know that they still remember that, and they want to thank you for that. Thank you, Giggle Pickles. Ferndale Winter Guard Friends and Family Night performance is this Friday, the 28th at, is this Friday the 28th?
I think so.
All right, at 7 p.m. at the Ferndale High School, Ferndale Middle School gym. They are going to the championships the next day, which will be in Lansing. And then congratulations to UHS for their Black Excellence Celebration, where they displayed beautiful art for 9th and 12th graders that day. And that's just fitting that this is, Art March month. So I rarely get the chance to shout out UHS. They do a lot of great things, and I'm going to do that more often. With that being said, this meeting's adjourned at 10:32. Safe travels, everyone, home. Thank you. All right. Jenny, I was going to mention